Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to CwX. It's wonderful to be with you all this afternoon, and thank you for braving the cold to be with us. 2026 is a very big year at Caseware Africa, personified by our theme, Innovation in Motion. And our innovation engine has been firing on all cylinders, as I'm sure many of you could tell who have been managed to spend some time at the tech showcase outside. Over the last 2 years, we have released more new solutions and features than we have ever done before. And that is all focused on our promise to deliver the highest quality compliance and providing you with workflows that enable you to get more done faster so that you can focus on what matters most, serving your customers and growing your business. But 2026 is also shaping up to be a year of immense global change. Global geopolitical tensions are rising, and the wave of technological change is accelerating. And that is bringing about a very exciting crossroad of, on the one hand, immense excitement for the opportunities that are about to come, but a lot of anxiety and fear on the other side of what might all of this change mean. Be that as it may, 2026 is most definitely shaping up to be the year where the world embraced agentic AI. And I am very happy to share with you that at Caseware you are in very safe hands, as our teams have been hard at work building Caseware Verity, our agentic AI assistant. So it's a very big year at Caseware. And with innovation in motion, it's been driven by three underlying forces that I'd like to tell you a little bit more about before we get into our agenda. Number one, both Caseware Africa and Adapt IT are celebrating a 30th birthday this year. And from our humble beginnings, today we have grown to almost 4,500 customers serving over 25,000 users across the African continent. And this most certainly would not have been possible if it wasn't for your ongoing loyalty, support, and trust. And we most certainly do not take that for granted. So thank you. In addition to that, we are not being complacent. Complacency is the enemy of innovation, and we continue to make significant investments to build the solutions of tomorrow and the engagement of the future. I cannot wait for you to experience all the new solutions and progress our teams have made and what they will be showing you today. And I'm confident with everything that you're going to be seeing today, you will continue to choose Caseware as your trusted partner for the next 30 years. Secondly, it is a very big year for Caseware for innovation. We have made significant progress in narrowing our cloud roadmap. And today we have created cloud equivalents of all of our major applications that you use and love. IFRS, SME, review, compilation, to name a few, but also creating new applications such as SQM, Validate, Extractly, and Internal Audit. So there's a lot going on, but what is missing? And what is missing is audit on the cloud. And I'm delighted to share with you that audit on the cloud will be coming to market in 2027, and you will get to see it in action later today. The benefits of cloud software is known to all of us, but the most important thing to take away from today, that the time to migrate to the cloud is now. And that now is the time for you to start planning your cloud migrations. Of course, depending on how your firm works and what you need to achieve, this will happen in a phased approach naturally, but the time to start planning and getting ready is now. Of course, it is a year where one cannot not talk about agentic AI. And 2026 is really shaping up to be the year where the AI adoption curve and the hype cycle have met. And agentic AI has been woven into the fabric of how work gets done everywhere around the world. So, and that is the third reason why 2026 is shaping up to be a very big year at Caseware. In May of this year, we have introduced Caseware Verity, our agentic AI assistant. Verity provides for an intelligence layer built directly into the Caseware Cloud ecosystem. Verity understands the context of your work, the engagement you are busy with, as well as the professional standards that govern them, the policies of your firm, and any other documents and data that you provide to it. It then makes use of this context to draw your attention to where it is needed most, highlighting errors that you need to correct, guiding you on next steps as you work through your work, and also enabling you to ask questions about what you're busy with directly within the engagement and you not needing to leave the system. Verity is built with privacy at its center, and that means that none of your data is used to train any external model. Every response is grounded in professional judgment with clear audit trails and highlighting areas that require your professional judgment. But let me not get ahead of myself too much. Today you will get to see Verity in action and experience firsthand what does it mean to have agentic AI built directly into the engagement workflow. So to summarize, we have made significant investments into the Caseware Cloud platform and continue to do that. And the time to plan migrations is now. And when you transition to Caseware Cloud, you can take full advantage of Verity. And now, to tell you more about our product roadmap and strategy, I am delighted to introduce you to our product executive, Christian Stein. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christian. It is a privilege to be back and to have everyone back at CwX. So let's look at what's in store for us during the day. So we are starting off with a session now, and then we will go into our product strategic roadmap, and we'll look a little bit about products. But before we get into the session and we look at the products in more detail, at the heart of everything we do, how you experience Caseware is as important as the product. It is great to have a good product, but it's just as important to have a great experience when you engage with the team at Caseware. So we've really looked at various engagement points within the firm and how do we engage with you, any stumbling blocks, and we've made quite a significant number of changes to accommodate for those. First on the list is we've introduced a brand new website. So for those of you who haven't visited our website, www.caswareafrica.com, you're welcome to go and have a look. There's now filters. It shows you all the products. You can read more about it. There is click-through demos. You can click through it and experience it so that you have an idea about what it is. Then we've also updated our success community. So the success community, success.caswareafrica.com, is the community where all the information is. If you need anything about products, if you have any questions, if you have FAQs, or if there's any changes that we need to communicate to you in terms of what's new in product, we will publish those there. There's also a lot of training material, so please refer to the community. It's now much easier to find the products. It's categorized much more efficiently, so we do hope that you will enjoy the community experience. We've also integrated support directly into the product. So in any one of the templates, you can click on help and then get support. And once you click on get support, you'll be connected with a support agent directly and you can chat with them and ask the question that you need help with. If you don't want to do it within the product, we've also introduced WhatsApp support. So if you prefer chatting with us over WhatsApp, you can do that as well. And then last but not least, we're also introducing the Caseware mobile app. So the Caseware mobile app, if you scan the QR code on the screen now, you will be able to get access to the mobile app. What the mobile app allows us to do is to, at any point in time, when there's any information we need to share with you, we can communicate that to you directly. You will get a notification and you can then respond to that. It also has a connection to the community, and you can chat with the support team directly from the mobile app. So this year's theme, Innovation in Motion, really is about what the product team has been working on for the last year since we had our previous CwX until now. Not only have we released new products, but we've also released new features within the existing products. And at Caseware Africa, we have a cloud-forward but desktop-grounded strategy. So that is why within the product sessions, you will not only see cloud products, but you will also see desktop products. And when we look at Caseware, I think most of us will refer to one or two products within the product ecosystem. But it is important to note that we do support over 60 different solutions across the whole Caseware ecosystem. Now that allows you as a firm to really choose which areas of the Caseware ecosystem you want to use, what specific areas you want to focus on, and it also allows data to flow throughout the whole firm. And most importantly, it also reduces the need for you to rebuild the technology stack if you're looking for something else to work with within the financial ecosystem. So cloud forward really means that going forward, we are increasingly centering our development around cloud. Most of the new development will be on cloud, and we will focus on giving you a collaborative experience on cloud first. You will also see from the product sessions that our development has happened, as an example, on IFRS 18 on cloud first, and then as normal, desktop will come later. And cloud really gives us the opportunity to bring the whole ecosystem together and to give you much more advanced technologies that and the latest that is being offered. But it doesn't mean we have forgotten about desktop. So we are still maintaining the desktop solutions. We know that you love Caseware working papers and your templates. You've done your customization on it, and you would not want to lose that. So what we are doing is, and we're giving you the option to migrate as and when you as a firm is ready. And we're putting the solutions out there so that you can choose what suits you at what specific point in time. So our strategy is not forcing you to move to cloud, although it is a great recommendation to at least start looking at it and looking at specific areas within the firm that you might see will benefit from the cloud products, and then start the migration towards the cloud ecosystem. But let's look a little bit around the history of professional leverage. So what is professional leverage? It is doing more with less. So as a profession, we always want to do more, but we want less resources, and we want to use it with less, or do it with less money. So in the 1990s, we started with digitization. So we went from manual files all the way to electronic files. And then later, we moved into standardizations, where we introduced workflows and exceptions. Then we started automating in 2010 to automate all that information and bring it together in one. And now we are at a stage where we're starting to delegate. So what does it mean? We're using software to delegate tasks and to have software execute work for us. Not just automate it, but execute it. So how are we as Caseware planning to delegate the future engagement? Last year I shared our cloud roadmap, and this year I can share our Caseware AI timeline. In 2024, we released Caseware IDA, which was our chatbot, and you could ask it any questions and it would return the relevant answers for you. It was aware of the document that you were in, but it was limited in terms of the knowledge and the scope it had within the engagement. Less than a year later, we launched Caseware Extractly. So if anyone here has ever sat and vouched invoices and then typed it all the way onto Excel, That is what Extractly now can do for you automatically. So you would feed in the invoices, it will vouch it for you, and it will import that information into Extractly. Then we launched Validate. So Caseware Validate is a validation tool for financial statements to make sure that your financials cross-cast, balance, there's no spelling mistakes, and it goes through the whole validation process for you. And now this year we are launching Verity. So Verity is the next step forward for us in the agentic world and how we are implementing the future engagement. And then going forward into next year, we're also looking at Verity agents, where the agents will be doing some work. So let's have a look at Verity.
It's the same way. Many data points, many documents, and pressure to focus on the right risks from the very beginning. But getting there takes time and experience. With Verity, you get better engagement intelligence built directly into Caseware. Verity understands your engagement, not just your question. From planning, Verity helps you cut through complexity. It connects your client's trial balance, risks, and materiality, bringing key audit information together in one place. Then, Verity instantly highlights where attention is needed, so teams can focus on the areas that matter most. No manual cross-checking, no jumping between disconnected files, just a clearer, faster path from planning to insight. During fieldwork, questions come up fast. Instead of searching standards or interrupting a manager, just ask. Verity brings together your engagement data, professional standards, and firm methodology to guide your next step. Like having an experienced auditor right beside you. Verity doesn't stop at the checklist. It reads your documents, board minutes, leases, and prior year files, then connects what it finds directly to your audit work. So important details are easier to surface, understand, and act on, helping your team move from document review to meaningful audit insight faster. Your data stays within your firm and is never used to train external models. Every response is grounded in your methodology and professional standards, with clear citations and a traceable audit trail. And when professional judgment is required, Verity makes that clear, so your team stays in control every step of the way. Verity is the first layer of Caseware intelligence, reasoning across the full engagement right inside the workflow. Backed by methodology-native agents, governed decisioning, and a composable platform firms can build on. From planning to completion, Verity helps your team focus on what matters most. Guidance when you need it, context you can trust. This is Caseware Verity, your trusted engagement navigator.
So I'm now going to invite Simon Warren from Caseware International to tell us a little bit more about Verity.
Are we on? Is the mic on? Mic is on. Can you hear me okay? Right. Thank you. Thanks, Christian. Good afternoon, everybody. First of all, I just want to say congratulations to the South Africa team for putting on this series of events. It is a really difficult thing to do, to run CwX events. There's a lot of pressure on everybody to get it right, to have to do it over 3 different locations, have to present 6 times. So congratulations to everybody involved in that. This is a trip for me of firsts. It's the first time that I've been asked to present at CwX Africa. It's the first time that I've ever been invited. There's another first as well. Being an Englishman traveling abroad, this is possibly the first time where I'm not the one that's talking about the weather. So that was quite refreshing. It's also possibly, I think I'm right in saying, the first time I've ever spoken to an audience of accountants that are eating popcorn. That's terrific work, guys. Well done. That's really good. So really, I'm here to talk about Caseware Verity. I wanted to put into context what Verity actually is in advance of you being able to see the tool itself later on this afternoon. So I'm going to sort of talk about different types of AI, but if you take away one message just from this brief 15-minute session, it is that Verity is an AI tool that is embedded within your workflow. Okay, it's embedded within the engagement. It's not general AI, This is very specific AI. And that is a very different kind of tool that you'll be working with. And it's based on and developed on a set of principles, a sort of a AI stack that are really critical to the way that embedded AI works differently. So first of all, governance is important to Verity. Governance in two forms. First of all, from a data security and a ring-fence security perspective, this is a technically audited, independently audited technology environment. It's a really important point to make. This is within your environment. It's not escaping anywhere. So it's entirely ring-fenced within the firm. The second part of the governance is that Verity is a specifically designed tool for accounting, finance, auditing professionals. So it is trained to behave within your industry in the appropriate way. That's where it draws all of its inference from, is from your profession and from your files. So you have that security of governance, both decisions that it's making and in terms of the data security of the environment. Context is important as part of this stack. Verity, again, will only draw its information from the direct context of your firm and the engagement that it's working within. It's not drawing anything from the outside world to make its decisions, right? And that gives you not only sort of confidence in the answers that it's going to give you, but you know they are absolutely relevant. You know it's drawing information that is within that file and not coming from anywhere else. So when you're coming to validate that data, you know where it's coming from. Workflow is also important to the stack because these AI tools, these embedded AI tools, work most effectively when they are relevant at the point at which you need them. So with the agents that Verity uses, you have different tools available to you in addition to Verity Chat. You have the tools that are relevant to the task in hand. So you're able to use Verity to assist you with importing data, organizing data, mapping data. Verity has a role when you are performing the audit, if you're sampling. It has a role when you're assessing risk. It has a role when you're conducting a review. Those agents are different. It's doing different things and deploying different skills at the right point within the workflow. That's something that general AI cannot do. It's not designed to do that. Agents are the way in which embedded AI can actually execute tasks for you that are relevant to the work you're trying to do. So when we talk about agents, we're talking about very specifically designed tools. So we will have a risk agent, for example. We'll have a data import agent. Now, you may or may not see those actively, but they are working in the background for you. And then obviously intelligence. This is built on the Claude engine, on the Anthropic engine. The foundation is Amazon Bedrock. So we are working in a closed system within the engagement and using a large language model that's very, very powerful. And when you interact with Verity for the first time, if you haven't used Claude yourselves, you'll notice a distinct difference between tools like Claude and ChatGPT. It's a very different experience working with Claude. And I recommend enormously experimenting with it if you haven't. So our evolution to Verity really started, as Christian said, with Ada. Ada was a chat tool. It was a tool that had to be very specifically pointed at a task in hand. It wasn't an agentic tool. It didn't broaden its context to provide you with answers. You had to prompt it quite specifically to do specific tasks on specific documents. Reasonably powerful, and I know a lot of people actually in this region have been using Ada quite well. But the next generation arrived very quickly. The rate of change is really quite staggering. I've been in the industry, accounting and auditing software industry, since around about 1990. So I've been through first generation DOS programs, DOS to Windows, Windows through to the XBRL era. This is probably the fastest period of change I've ever seen. And so Verity is hot on the heels of Ada. We all thought Ada was great. Verity came along very quickly. Now, Verity is this multi-step, much more advanced language model It is agentic. It's able to check its own work. You're able to have an active conversation with the tool. You're able to correct it, challenge it, because models never admit they're wrong, right? So they always have to have a bit of challenge in there. But it's a very different experience to working with Ada. But then taking that further, Verity is not just this chat tool, right? You can operate with Verity as just a chat tool, and that chat tool will be able to do sampling. It will be able to review board minutes for you, and it'll be able to do that very quickly and very effectively. But what we actually needed was a platform, often an overused word in software, but this is a genuine platform on which we can build additional agents to do more work. It's a platform on which you can build in the future agents for your own firm as well. And you're able to feed that platform with contextual documents, contextual information, accounting standards, your own firm's practice assurance manuals. All of that kind of information can go into the context, and you're then working within an environment. Verity is working in an environment that not only understands the industry, the profession, but your firm and the context of all of the documents and all the data within an engagement file. So the platform is something that we can build on, we can extend, you can get involved with, you can modify, you can control. Say a little bit about that in a short while. So just to summarize these sort of key points, really, first of all, Verity is engagement aware, right? So it is working entirely within your engagement. It's only going to make decisions based on what it finds within your audit file. Does it very quickly, does it very effectively. The first times I tried to experiment with it, I ran it through my Caseware UK audit file from 2021 that I provided our auditors with. It's quite scary results it came back with, so I'm quite glad I didn't have it at the time ahead of our audit. But anyway, Verity ran through that one quite effectively. So it draws on all this information. Really importantly, it's transparent and reviewable. So the one other key point about it is that Verity will make decisions and suggest decisions for you, but you verify those decisions, and everything that Verity offers you will be flagged as having come from that system. It's not going to act on all of this information independently. So you are able to review it, you are able to see everything that it's decided to do or decided to suggest to you, and that gives you a full, transparent audit trail of everything that it's doing. I've mentioned the governance and security. So you are able to have the confidence that this is only working within your firm and within that engagement. It's also built for every level of staff. It doesn't matter what role you're performing within an audit engagement or a financial reporting engagement, Verity is able to support you, whether it's through an element of training, accounting standards awareness, whether it's actually assessing risk in an audit, doing some very complicated assessments. Verity works at that level. It can also act as a reviewer support. So it has a role in every single function across the firm. And then finally, of course, we have the fact that this is agentic AI tool. Enables us to build more agents, be able to do more things for you, with you. You can build on that as well. So as I said at the beginning, the important thing to take away is that this is an embedded AI. And what does that mean? What's the difference really, to summarize the difference between Verity and generic AI? So first of all, the generic AI is working on public content, right? Unless you feed it with very specific information from your file, the decisions that generic AI is going to make or suggest, that is coming from the public internet, right? It's not specific, it's not context specific. And that obviously brings in all kinds of risks into the decision-making process. So Verity is running off of your methodology. It's running off of accounting standards. It's running off of the engagement file. It does, as I said, it lives outside the work. So you have to then transfer any of that information that the generic AI has decided to bring to your attention. You then have to copy it, interpret it, paste it, go back to the external AI. So it's not only is it out of context, but it's relatively inefficient to bring the results back in. Whereas again, Verity is inside the workflow, and Verity will make decisions on your approval to start completing Excel documents, to complete checklists for you, right? So it's working within that context and within that workflow at the right point in time. The plausible, not defensible, is also a critical difference, right? Point of difference, because if you're using generic AI, you have that information, but you have no reference point for where the source of that information, where the source of that assessment has come from. You may be able to ask for citations, but it's not relevant to your file. It's not directly linked to your file. So that becomes very difficult to defend, should you ever need to defend it. Whereas with Verity, everything that is suggested to you will be permanently marked as having come from the AI tool. So anyone reviewing it at any stage in the engagement will be able to see what was an AI suggestion and did you or did you not accept that result of that suggestion. And then finally, you have to adapt to generic AI. You sometimes have to train it. You have to write lots of prompts that you then have to remember. You have to feed it with all of the information. You are adapting to this AI's environment, whereas within a Verity environment, you are controlling the information that it's working with. You can feed it with more information, whether that's general information around methodology and firm practice, firm interpretation, or whether it's the context of the file. They're two very different things. Generic AI has efficiencies, but it has a lot of risks and it has a lot of inefficiencies built into it as well, which is why the embedded AI is the way that the industry is going. The level of efficiency, the level of control, the level of security, the level of engagement you can have with that tool with confidence is significantly higher than if you're working with generic AI. So Verity is an embedded AI tool. That's a very sort of general positioning of where we are with Verity. You're going to be able to see Verity doing its stuff a little bit later on this afternoon. We have a breakout session and you can see a lot more in detail about what Verity actually does, what it looks like, and what it's capable of. So on that note, I'm going to hand back, I think, to Christian. So thank you very much for your attention. It's been great to be here with the team. And yeah, have a good rest of the afternoon. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Simon. So, as Simon said, we can really see Verity as not being a chat, but more as an agent. And we've all experienced, I would hope, AI as a chat, where we've asked it a question, it gives us a response, but we then need to do further things on it. Chat is still largely a conversation. The responsibility sits with you as the user to really go and know what you're asking, how to ask it, and really define the format in which you want the feedback to be. Where we've just seen an agent is really different. It breaks information down into goals. It then takes those goals and execute on those goals with different skill sets, and it provides you back with an answer. You can then review the answer and then approve the result. If we then look at intelligence, I think intelligence is more accessible to us than ever before. We can all ask or Google or work with an AI to get information and to get intelligence very quickly. And it really is extraordinary progress if we think about it, how far we've come in getting intelligence into our hands, into our phones. But generative AI is designed to create. Now, as an audit profession and finance professionals, we can't really work with things that are very creative. We're not into creative accounting. We need to work with the facts, the compliance, the rules, the laws, the regulations. So when we work with general AI, we can be assured that it's going to create facts for us. And it's going to create and be creative. So that's why we really have to be careful moving into the future in terms of what we trust and what do we not trust when we get the information from AI. We also want the results to be repeatable and to have an audit trail in terms of how we get the results. So how do Caseware and AI all fit together with our templates and our various apps, together with Verity that we've now developed? We believe that our templates and our checklists and our procedures still remain very relevant within the whole environment, because that is what feeds Verity with the information and with the format in which you need information to be completed at. When you do an audit of a specific section, you always want to have the similar procedures and the procedures reading in the same format. You can't come up and be creative with new procedures every single time. The same thing when you're drafting, as an example, a PPE note. You want that note to be consistent across all your client base so that you can review it much faster. So together with AI and our templates and apps, we bring those two together and we allow them to work together with Verity. So we saw in the beginning video that change is coming. And in essence, we all will have to change, and it's happening faster than what we've ever seen before. But we do need 5 components when we think about change. We need vision, we need skills, we need incentive, resources, and an action plan. So if we think, how do we go from change into action? If we don't have vision, then we have confusion. So if no one gives the direction in terms of where we want to go with AI, people are going to be confused. Why are we doing this? What does it mean for me? Where are we going? And in essence, change is not going to happen. Then if we don't have skills, we are going to have anxiety. So think about this for your own firm and your own AI usage. Have you gone on a course? Have you asked AI to guide you through the process? How do you use it? What you should be careful of? Because if you have an anxiety, then it's more questions of, can I actually do this? How do I do it? And then change will also not happen. If you don't have incentives, then you have resistance. So when no one is telling you what the incentive is, are you going to be faster? Are you going to do more? Can you be better quality? Is it more efficient? What is the incentive for you to actually go and execute and change, whether it be AI or whatever else you're changing towards? And then if you don't have the resources in place, then you are going to have frustration. If there's this whole goal that we need to use AI or we need to change to something, but the resources are not there, then you will have frustration within the firm. And then if you don't have an action plan, maybe you've communicated, you've bought everyone licenses, everyone has access, everyone has been on a training course, you've set the vision, this is where we want to go, we want to be more efficient, provide better quality, but there's no action plan in terms of firm deadlines that everyone needs to adhere to, then we are going to have what we call a false start. So you need to think everyone has started, AI is being implemented, the change is happening, but in essence, when you do an evaluation in a few months, then you will see that nothing has really happened. So we really need to look at those 5 components going forward in terms of change and how we are going about change in the future. So what does it mean for us, all of us here at CwX? It is the first step. You are here, you're hearing more about AI, you can see what the changes are that's coming, you'll see more about what's happening within the product. But then ask yourself a few questions, whether it's tomorrow or this afternoon, is what is your vision around AI? Do you have a vision? Is there something you're working towards? Do you have the skills that you need? Or do you need to go on certain training programs? How do you motivate your team to then go and change? And then do you have the right resources? Or do you need to get resources in? And then most importantly is, what action are you going to take tomorrow? And what action plan are you going to implement? So what is next for us as finance professionals? What do we need to focus on? If we are now going to have agents that do all these things for us, and that is going to be efficient and create all these efficiencies, do some risk assessments, what do we need to focus on? So I've broken it down into 4 things. The first one is data expertise. We as accountants, the accounting profession, we like typing information into our computers. Print something out, type it back into Excel, copy and paste it. We love it. But what we should do is we should move away from data capturers to really be data experts. Really be comfort in querying data, working with data, going into the detail and formulating ideas around how you can work with data rather than entering the information. Then AI validation and governance. We just spoke about governance, how Verity has governance built in. But how are you going to use judgment to question what the AI returns back to you? I think we've all asked AI a question. It came back to you with an answer. And then you think, is this right? This doesn't make sense 100%. So you have one of two options. You can either go, yes, this is what AI said to me and I'm going to believe it, or you can question it and you can go and do a bit of research. And then maybe you go back to it and you say, this is not right, you're actually wrong. And guess what it's going to answer you? Yes, you are right. So you can give yourself a pat on the back and say, yes, I am right. And then it will give you the right answer. So why did it not give you the right answer? No one knows. But that's where we have to use our judgment to really go and think about, what do we trust? If we get work from someone who's used AI, how do we build trust there? How do we implement judgment in there and choose what to believe and what to not believe? And that is going to be a skill. Similar to how when a first year gives something to you and a third year gives something to you that you're reviewing, you use different judgment in terms of how much you are going to review. Then business partnering. Every time someone implements an AI or a change or an efficiency drive, the next day there's expectations that we should be more efficient and quality should improve. But how do we bring that all together? How do we share the insights with the business of what have we learned? Where can we use it more? Where we shouldn't use it? Processes we need to implement. And then reporting up to the partners, to the board, to management in terms of what you're seeing, how we can build on efficiencies and how not. And then lastly, ethical judgment. So professional skepticism is even more important now than what it was before. I can ask an AI to generate a beautiful invoice that most of us will not even know it is AI generated and will most likely just pass when we do an audit check on it. But we need to use our professional judgment and skepticism now even more when we get evidence from our clients, from someone else, to make sure we question and we then build that skill for ourselves so that we can get to the right outcome. So now with that, I'm going to hand you over to the product managers to show you a bit more about the products that we've developed. And up next is Ninka.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ninka, and I'm responsible for the financial reporting on the corporate side. So I'm quickly going to take you through just the products that fall under me before I jump into the roadmap to show you what's going to come up for the next year or so. So firstly, we have the 4 cloud templates. And I'm going to refer to templates when it's your desktop application, when you download the software and you install it. Then we are on the template sides. So under IFRS, you have your company, your co-ops and trust with consolidations. Then you have interims, which is your IAS 34 that helps you to do your interim reporting. We have the SME, English and Afrikaans, with all those various entity types, and then we have XBRL. So XBRL is embedded in all our templates, but also you have the XBRL Lite, which is a capture sheet. So I'm sure all of you are very familiar with our desktop products. Then we have 3 cloud apps that we have. We have IFRS, which is company, trust, and it's also got consolidation in, and compilation is also included there. We've recently released IFRS 18, which I'll showcase a little bit later. And also about 2 weeks ago, IFRS 19 is also now available for early adoption in the IFRS app. Then we have our SME app. Again, that is companies, trust coming up a bit later during the year, and consolidations, compilation included there. And then we also have Validate. Now, you've heard about Validate in bits and pieces. Validate is really a product that enables you, if you have PDF financial statements, you upload your current year, either multiple copies, you can do version controls, you can cross-cast, you can check your prior numbers. So really a very powerful tool for any sort of financial that you perhaps haven't prepared yourself. So you don't know the integrity of the file, or it's a new client that you're doing, or it's maybe somebody else that's preparing the set on the client's behalf. Now, if we look at the roadmap, I'm going to start just a little bit back in 2025. So normally we do our desktop releases, as you guys know, in around October, which is our working papers, XBRL, and all our templates across our portfolios. And we will continue to do so, except if there's a compliance reason like next year. So that is our standard release that we have. And then in 2025, we also launched our IFRS app. In Q2 2026, we've included consolidation in our SME app that's already available. And like I said, we've done IFRS 18 compilation trust and compilation and the entity type trust for the IFRS app. Q3, we've done IFRS 19, that's already available. And if we go to Q4, we will be doing our October release like we normally do. And we'll also do the SME app, the new SME standard. So in the session that I'll have later, I'll show you how you can early adopt either one of these. It's a question that you answer that drives all your disclosure. So it really enables us to do early adoption where we're not able to do that in desktop before. And then in Q2 next year, we will be doing the desktop release for IFRS 8 and IFRS 19. So like Christian has said, we really want to meet you where you are on your cloud and compliance journey. So if you're still on desktop, that will be in time for your interims so that you compare IFRS 18, IFRS 19, as well as your interims before June requirement. And then Q4, we'll have our SME standard then also available on the desktop with our normal working paper release. So that's the roadmap for the next year. And like I say, in the other session, I will go a bit more deep dive what it means for the cloud apps as well as the desktop and how we see that play out. And with that, I'm going to hand over to Roxanne. Thank you.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry for that. A very warm welcome to CwX 2026. I'm very excited to be here. This is my now third one, but my first one in Johannesburg, and I'm excited to see you all. So my name is Roxanne. I am the product manager for Assurance, and my portfolio covers quite a number of portfolios within Assurance. So I'm responsible for Assurance, and that has a number of portfolios within it, being external audits, assurance and related services. There is also internal audits as well as analytics. So I'm also going to take you through the products that fall under me. So firstly, under desktop assurance, we have our Probe Audit Premium, which is our flagship desktop product for audits, and as well as Audit International. Under cloud assurance, we have Caseware Africa, which you have heard a bit about, and you will hear a bit more about it later, and that's our intelligent data extraction tool. Then very exciting, and this is what we will be presenting on later, and I'm sure quite a lot of you will be excited about this, is that we have our new product, ISA Audit, that we are busy developing currently. And this is going to be our audit product on the cloud. From there, if we move to assurance and related services, on the desktop, we have Probe Review as well as Probe Compilation. And then under cloud, we have quite a number of products in this sector, and that is attestation. We also have compilation, which is IFRS as well as SME. We have agreed upon ISRE review, clients inquiries, and as I'm sure you're all aware, there's a new standard that IRB has adopted, which is ISSA 5000, and that is for sustainability. So at the end of this year, before the end of the year, we are going to launch a new product for ISSA sustainability. Under internal audit, we have internal audit governance as well as internal audit engagements. And then under analytics, we have Caseware Idea, and also what I'll show you a little bit later in the ISA audit sector is we are building and introducing an analytics hub within our ISA audit product. Under me as well, I also have a practice management product, which is SQM. And this is a firm-wide quality management solution. So this is something that all firms that sign off any sort of reports are required to have a proper system in place. And this product can really guide you with setting up that full quality management system within your firm. Very nice feature that we are adding coming up in our October release now is actually the ability to run a due diligence report. So you're able to do a KYC report for any client, any company. You can run this, and this will then give you any information regarding risks. Also, it gives you key risk information, if they are on any sanctions or watch lists, also any related entities, which also is a good thing because we seem to miss a lot of those items. And then also things like adverse media, it'll all come up in a very detailed report for you. So it really is to help you make better informed acceptance, whether it's client or engagement acceptance decisions. Moving on to our roadmap. So I'm just starting from 2026 moving forward. We have a number of releases coming up in the rest of this year. And from a cloud point of view, we are releasing compilation, SQM, there's internal audit, as well as client inquiries. But we have an ongoing commitment to supporting compliance. Just as you've heard already, we are not forgetting about you. So Probe, we are also launching in Q4, 2026 in October. So this, we are also including, as well as compliance enhancements, we are including the latest standards. So for IFRS is, for ISO 570 for going concern and ISO 240 for fraud. The new standards that are only applicable from 15 December 2026, year ends on or after, will be included within this release that we are going to do in October. So this is essentially available for an extended beta until they become effective in 2027. So you're able to adopt these and have a look and perform your audits in line with those. Then for Q4, for Q4, like I said, we are also launching the ISSA Sustainability, and that is our new ESG product. And then in addition to the Probe releases and a whole lot of other cloud releases that we are also doing, like I said, our very exciting one is our ISA audit that is going to be released. So this is our big one. We have, as you can see under the assurance portfolio, a number of releases that are going out. We are working very hard and very excited about all the new things that are coming up that we're able to do to help improve your lives.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Mohammed, and I'm going to take you through the roadmaps specifically as it pertains to the platform. So, under the platform ecosystem, we predominantly have two products. First being Caseware Cloud. So, Caseware Cloud is the layer that enables you to work with Caseware working papers in a hybrid way. It also gives you access to all the cloud engagements and Verity. It's also used to protect your data and make sure that you can easily work with your clients. So Caseware Cloud is a fundamental layer in our platform, and we've obviously got Caseware working papers. So Caseware working papers is the historical desktop software that you'll have been using to draft financial statements, do audits, do reviews, and that predominantly makes up the platform. So from a roadmap point of view, I think the first thing that we're going to be releasing is the new Caseware mobile notifications app. So the notifications app, it really solves a particular pain point for us. I think we do a lot of work on the success community, and a lot of you don't know that we've released either new training or did new how-tos, or we've got fixes for particular bugs. So this really puts all that information right at your fingertips. So that's available immediately, and we're really excited in getting that into your hands. Then from a cloud point of view, I think we've got the new UI on the cloud. So we are reimagining Caseware Cloud. particularly with the advent of AI, I think Caseware Cloud has kept the same UI for a few years now, and it has served us well. But it's time for it to evolve, and we want your feedback on how we can make it better. So we're going to be suggesting new ways of doing things in Caseware Cloud. There's going to be a toggle which you can opt in and try out the new UI. So that's coming out as we move towards the end of this year. Another cool thing that we're implementing that's really going to enhance your lives is the DocuSign integration. So if you're using one of the cloud apps like Ifris or SME, you will have the ability to send your document for signature directly from the app. So you could have a letter, you could have your financial statements, you could then specify who needs to sign this, and through DocuSign, you'd be able to send that document for signature without actually leaving the app. Another important efficiency gain we feel is that we will give you the ability to see all the issues that's in a working paper file directly in Caseware Cloud. So this solves a particular pain point where today, if you want to see all the issues that are in a Caseware working paper file, you actually have to make a child copy, open up the engagement, and that takes up a significant amount of time. So in this new solution, for those of you that have working paper security enabled in Caseware Cloud, if you want to see all the outstanding issues within a Caseware file, all you have to do is go to Caseware Cloud, go to that engagement, and look at all the tasks. So there will be a one-for-one representation between the issue in working paper file to the task in Caseware Cloud. So it's a quick way of getting an overview of where you are within that file. Next up, I think we're going to solve a support problem, and obviously a problem for all of you, but it's our number one support call in terms of revocation of Caseware working paper licenses. So we know that you sometimes know in advance that there's 10 members of the firm that are going to be leaving at the end of the year or at the end of the month. Through the license management screen, you will be able to schedule those Caseware licenses to be revoked. And then on that particular day that you specify, it will be revoked, and then it's available for the new users that come in. So that's an efficiency gain that we seek to give you towards the end of this year. Another interesting development since we launched the license management portal last year was the fact that we saw that firms have difficulty providing the new authorization code to all the staff in their firm. So we wanted to make that process a lot easier. And to that end, what we've done is we've given you firm champions a way of pushing a notification to all your users when they open up the Caseware file. So once you process your renewal and you need your firm to move over to the new authorization code, all you have to do is push out that notification, and every user in your firm that opens up Caseware working papers will be alerted that they need to use this new authorization code to register working papers, and it gives them the steps on how to do it. So you can monitor the progress of the rollout of your new authorization code. Another key feature that we're doing this year is our audit tracker app wasn't part of the cloud installer. So the cloud installer is the central location that you have to go and download any desktop related software. Audit tracker wasn't part of it. So we're adding that to the cloud installer in this release. And as we another important improvement, I think, which is really going to help you guys, is with all the changes that are coming out next year, we're really going to advocate probably for you to do a new firm template, create a new one from scratch, because basically the entire income statement is changing. So to enable that process and make it a bit faster, we're giving you the ability to import the info store and your firm settings from your last year's firm template. So we looked at the process of the firm template guide. We wanted to make that faster, and we're giving you that in this release. Another interesting change that you'll find specifically within working papers and the financial statements and Pro or the desktop software itself is that we've rewritten all the HTMLs or all the pop-up screens, when you click a button and you see a screen in Caseware Working Papers through the financials or through Probe, we've basically given all those HTMLs a new look and feel. I think we've got good feedback when we did this last year on the file new screen, which we changed. We've basically now taken all that technology and given you a new look and feel for all the HTMLs in all the desktop products. And the last and most important change, I think, from a desktop perspective that would really make your lives a lot easier is on the super insert. We found that particularly when you inserted a subheading, you could never get it at the exact spot where you needed it. So what we've done now is we've given you 2 more options, which really transforms that super insert experience. So a lot of exciting changes coming up from a platform perspective. I do want to quickly run through just the other areas in the portfolio. So this is practice management. Within practice management, you've got Caseware Cloud Time and you've got Sherlock. So Sherlock is basically a data intelligence layer similar to Power BI, but it gathers all the data from all the files across your Caseware Cloud environment and makes it available to you. We've developed a Sherlock engagement report, which specifically helps you do your annual IRBA declaration. And in terms of a roadmap, we've spoken about the Sherlock engagement report, but we are going to be releasing the Sherlock firm management dashboard. Now, the Sherlock firm management dashboard is really intended to help all the firm champions enforce controls within your firm. So if you move over, or if you create a new firm template, or if you want to make sure that everybody is using the new version of Caseware Working Papers, you have the ability to pull reports, or you'll be able to see per user, as an example, what version of Caseware they're using, what the version of the template they have installed, the last file that they created, is it on the latest version? You'd also be able to see things like, has the file been locked down within 60 days? If you might have practices or control rules in your firm where the files need to be locked down in 30 days. It helps you enforce those types of rules. So we're really excited to bring you the Sherlock Firm Management Dashboard. That will come out in Q3. And then we're going to continuously be adding more specific dashboards. So once we get these 2 dashboards up and running, we're going to be concentrating on creating more dashboards. We really think this will help run your practices more efficiently. And then the last part that I want to talk about is all the different add-ons that we have as part of the Caseware ecosystem. So first and foremost, we've got Caseware Connector. So Caseware Connector is the solution that lets you take data from within your working paper file or your cloud engagement and link it to a cell in Excel. So this is available, Connector is available on the desktop and available within the cloud engagement. One of the interesting things that we're playing with at the moment is a document intelligence agent. So for anybody that's seen our Cloud Connector app, we're putting a new tab in that app called Verity, and you'd be able to tell Verity to build the reports using Connector. But that's exciting changes coming up. Then we've got Caseware Consolidation, also available on the cloud. And you've got Caseware SmartSync. SmartSync is the ability that once you move to Caseware Cloud, it's the technology that lets multiple people work within the same desktop file at the same time. So if you are going the Caseware Cloud route or have used it, then SmartSync is the natural add-on. And finally, we've got Verity. So from a roadmap perspective, I think it was important for me to tell you that Verity is available today in all our cloud engagements. So think of IFRS or SME or ISRE review, you can use it today. But going forward, as we move to the rest of this year, I think we're experimenting with a couple of things. Currently, we are looking at including Verity in Excel. We know that you'll like to use Excel. It's a phenomenal tool, but Verity now can do things in Excel on your behalf and push that data back into the engagement to where you specify. So that's still at the forefront, but it's something that we do want to bring to market. Then we're looking at making the account assignment process easier through Verity. So we've got, for example, in our MSCOA template, on average, people or clients who use it have about 55,000 trial balance accounts. We've got an auto map process in there. But that type of, for anybody that uses it and know how powerful and time saving that is, that type of functionality we want to bring to all engagements using Verity. And then we're looking at a Verity data import agent, which will help get engagement data easily from all the different providers. I think we've already bring in data from all the major providers, but this will just simplify that process. And whenever we talk about Verity, I just want to address the two key questions that we always get. In future, we do envisage a world where you as users would be able to create your own Verity agents. However, we're not there yet. But that's, I think, a key requirement and something that we'll always strive towards. And the other important thing to note, I think, from a Verity point of view is Verity is currently only available in our cloud engagements. So when you're looking at working papers or the hybrid environment, there we still have IDA, and the technology moves quite rapidly, and we'll do our best to keep it with you, keep you up to date with all the latest technology. So that's me from a roadmap perspective. With that, next on the agenda is Angela.
Well, this this slight elevation of light is not an intermission. You may think it's not, but it is a little stretch break, because I know how comfortable these seats are, and some of you might be like, oh, yawning. So up. Use your legs. That's what they're there for. Everybody up. A little bit of a stretch. Remember that you have a body. If you stretch up, be careful of showing off your midriff. There we go. Good. I've got a long shirt on today. Didn't want to do that the other day. Never know. All right. Shoulder roll, neck roll. Welcome back. There you go. Okay. Right, you may now sit down after a little stretch. We're going to keep the lights on, mainly because I like talking to people. So you may have been awed at the incredible things that Caseware is bringing to you in your function as an accountant or as an auditor, and the incredible people behind the software. We are the people behind the software. So we've been working with Caseware for the last 5-ish years, and we've been working to partner with them to develop the human skills to be able to lead themselves and influence other people. These human skills aren't easy to learn, which is why so few people have them. So I want to invite you to remember, maybe this is you, maybe it's not. And because I can see you, I want to ask this one. Is there anybody here who is called Rachel? What are my chances? Turns out I picked a name no one has. Well done me, yeah. So Rachel may be familiar to some of you. She was excellent at accounting in high school. She probably got one of the top 3 positions in her matric year, probably an A, got into a university of her choice, worked like a slave because it's so hard to get through an accounting degree. And every time she got an A or achieved in that sphere, everybody awarded and recognized her for that gift, that talent. As she migrated into the workforce, am I still audible? Should I just declutter this? Turn this one. And now, oh, now I resonate. So much more fun. So Rachel now is in the workplace. And as she gets there, she's joins as a trainee and everybody is expecting her to be brilliant. She struggles a little bit because the workplace is quite different from a university campus. And although hard work is what she's relied on, now she's got to navigate unwritten rules of the workplace and get off her laptop and speak to people and clients and teammates. And that wasn't part of her degree. It wasn't part of the curriculum. After some time, she moves into a space where she's really technically very excellent. And so the obvious choice, after 3 or 4 years, she's made a manager because you pick the best person to become that manager. And once again, she's floundering because although technically she's excellent, no one taught her how to human. And knowing that she might have Verity in her pocket isn't helping her at all. Because turns out AI doesn't know how to human very well either. So she sits on difficult feedback rather than talking to her team. She avoids conflict because how do I cope with it? So the standards of performance in her team drop, turnover increases, and suddenly the excellence that brought her to where she is isn't enough anymore. And maybe that feels like you. Maybe what got you here isn't getting you there. So my time together, I want to help you to walk away with some practical skills. At Inspired Leadership, we're super practical. This is about how can we do things differently, not just know different things. And my invitation to you through our booth outside, through the handout that you'll have, is to start building and investing in the skills that will take you further because your technical skills have got you here. What's going to help you take the next step in your career and not lead a tool, lead people? Oh, no, I'm backwards. Let's go forwards. That's a good idea. By the way, I don't know you, but I have never seen myself so enormous. Honestly, I'm quite intimidated by me. It's a very large photo. So we're talking here about the capability leak that takes place. Sorry, guys, can you just move my screen a little bit? The tech team, I know you're in that space over there. Tech team. Okay, there is no tech here. Oh, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. What a delight. So the technical skills that get you to where you are lead to ineffective management. And that's where we see this leak, the leak of skills. The amount of your role that can now be augmented or even fully replaced by technology is quite significant. Which means that as leaders and managers in organizations and in firms, you are having to use a skill set to retain and develop your staff, which you might not feel comfortable in or might not be very good at. The impact being retaining staff can be a pickle. And in South Africa, we have an interesting conundrum. I think it might be slightly overseas as well, Simon, you can confirm this, but we have what's called a blocked exit, which means that even though you may appear in your firm to have low staff turnover, just because they're not physically leaving doesn't mean they're not emotionally and mentally leaving. The physical blocked door is because of the economy, not a lot of job opportunities. So the actual exit is blocked, but psychologically people just show up and do the minimum. And that has a huge cost on the performance that they offer into the business. So not only does it have a emotional toll, but there is a financial cost to attrition. So when we talk about talent, human churn, so people leaving the organization, there leads to a 53% people are leaving because they lack leadership support. And that leadership support can look and sound different, but very much it's around, do I get feedback? Am I learning and growing? Do I feel like there's clarity in where I can go in my career? And is that supported? The dynamics of accounting and auditing at the moment with the technology changes is meaning that we are growing in our firms in the middle and at the top, and not at the early stages in one's career. The result being that early career professionals are escalating very quickly because there's not enough people there and they can't solve their own problems. And some of you sitting in the middle are going, yeah, burnout is how I feel because I'm doing everyone else's job. And then we have erosion of actual margin. Again, this takes place because of an inability to have difficult conversations, an inability to say no when clients are asking for more than contractually you're obliged to do, when we're working 18 hours on a 10-hour job. So when we're talking about finance leadership, there is no doubt that your technical competence is required. The investment that you have made in growing these technical skills to where they are today has been so worth it. It is now about augmenting those skills to elevate your contribution to your clients and to your firm and to your people. Things like developing relational intelligence. You've been recognized and rewarded for your IQ. Now it's time to developing your relational intelligence, your EQ. We're talking here about decision-making acumen, digital agility, and these competencies are recognized not just on a slide, but by the corporate bodies, the professional bodies that incentivize and recognize and license you to practice. They are the ones saying we need our industry to develop more rounded skills. The profession needs to relationize. We need to be less technical only and more influential in how we conduct ourselves. So I want to give you some tools to walk out of here today with and go, okay, I've got something I can do differently. We spoke about the early talent pipeline being a little bit broken with high turnover, largely because of a lack of leadership support. And early career people are citing burnout. Now, one of the ways we can address this is to recognize that talent losses cost us. And it costs us in the turnover, but also in the fact that we can't retain people. So how do we retain the talent that we have? Growing new talent is hard, finding it is difficult. So retaining the talent that you have, not just so their feet stay in, but so their commitment stays inside the organization. We call that being an engaged employee. An engaged employee is somebody who delivers their top performance into the organization, which leads to business results. Showing up every day and doing the bare minimum doesn't lead to business results. It's when you're giving discretionary effort. You're thinking outside the box. You're coming up with solutions that are more innovative than you would have the day before. That is somebody who's engaged in their work. So how do we create this engaged employee? If it was easy, everybody would be doing it. But I want to give you a very specific tool. Who of you here have heard of an exit interview? Okay, good. I see some hands. I can actually see those hands. It's very exciting for me. How about the opposite? A stay conversation. When you have an exit interview, it's too late. The person is leaving. They're walking out the door and you're like, oh, before you go, tell us why. Which kind of feels a bit like a waste of time, but you get some insights. This tool and structure and framework is absolutely vital to understand why people are staying and what would make them more committed or give them opportunity to do more work that they enjoy and love. The questions on a stay interview are very different from an exit interview, but it conveys that sense of, I see you, I value you, I want to hear what it is that you need in order to feel supported. Because support looks very different from one person to another. So think for yourself, how would you answer this question? What about this one? How about this one? And if your manager asked you this and genuinely listened to the answer, wouldn't it make you feel seen and heard? And maybe even just a little bit more committed because you've given them information that they can use to create work opportunities that give you more joy. So this stay conversation is, are any of you leading teams? Just put your hand up. You've got human beings that think about you at the end of the day and roll their eyes and go, my manager, I roll. Okay? So when you fill in your details at our table, or this is a QR code. Oh, my tiny head. You can see my tiny head. You can take a photo. Just avoid my tiny head. We'll send you that stay conversation template for you to start using immediately. It's not a hard thing. We'll give you all the details of how to do it, the kinds of questions to ask, what to do with that information afterwards. It's a practical tool that you can deploy immediately to understand the people in your team and how you can make it the best place for them to give their discretionary effort. The second thing I want to talk about is this automation paradox. So as we've been hearing, Caseware is coming up with all sorts of amazing things that should be making your world easier, more efficient, more effective, faster. The impact, though, is that we have supposed to have 15 to 20 hours a week that we now can use for other stuff. Anyone yet seeing those 15 to 20 hours a week? Well, I booked my manicure for Thursday, golf on Friday. Not yet. Well, supposedly the gift of AI should be more time, which we can do nothing with potentially. Scenario one, everything stays the same and nothing changes. We send more emails, we check in on more stuff. We have more meetings to plan the meetings where we schedule the meeting. Or, in all this time, as AI moves into every sphere of our lives, anxiety can increase. And when anxiety increases in the workplace, our brains literally crumble inwards. I always like to talk about anxiety and cauliflower. Your brain looks a lot like cauliflower, by the way, but anxiety makes it look like that cauliflower that you forgot you bought, and it's kind of at the bottom of the fridge. And 3 weeks later, you're like, ooh, this thing doesn't look so good. That's what your brain looks like with anxiety. So if you're functioning with anxiety, you're not getting the best out of your brain. And of course, you will never perform as well because you're living with a brain that looks like old cauliflower. Or 15 to 20 hours, and we see a stepping up of managers into the leadership space going, wait, now I've got time to be doing to be choosing different behavior with my team, having different conversations, figuring out how we can elevate your skill sets to be able to influence your clients differently, to be more engaged in the work that we do. And when leaders arrive, innovation increases. Questions get asked about with curious intent, not with judgmental planning. How could we do this better? We've got a moment to think. What could we do differently for this client? But the invitation in scenario 3 is for leaders to emerge. So within every great specialist is a leader waiting to pop out. And maybe this is your time. But the skills that you need to lead are a little different from what you've been investing in. You may need to move from doing and executing to far more critical thinking, to using informed judgment, to taking your reporting and numbers to strategically influencing the outcome of your clients, to be using that insight and driving continuous innovation. And finally, not just supervising the tasks and inspecting and verifying, but actually inspiring and leading the people in your organization. The call to action is to move from quality controller to capability builder. From checking, maintaining and correcting through to helping people think, helping and guiding problem solving, fostering collaboration and driving innovation and critical judgment. The role requirements shift when you become a leader, and the capabilities required change. Now, as you look at those 7 capabilities sitting on the screen, you might be thinking, I'm amazing at all of these. Or you might be going, I'd love to get just a little bit better at 1 or 2 of these. I would love to help you with all of them, but I'm going to help you with 1 today in a very real, practical analogy. And that one's on coaching. So that's talking about helping team members think instead of just giving them answers. I'm pretty sure that most of you in this room know your stuff. And when people ask you questions, you answer them because that's kind of expected. Instead, I want to help you see yourself as a vending machine. So when someone comes up to you and they come to you with a question, it's like coming up to a vending machine and pressing A7, put in your 57 Rand, and out comes a Kit Kat. And it's the next day you go back and you press B52 and you put in 170 Rand, and out comes a Coke. Inflation is hectic at this particular vending machine. But it's pretty reliable. You go to the vending machine, you put in money and A7, and out comes answer. Many of you are like that in the real world. Your team members come to you with questions because you reliably answer them. You're fantastic. I come to you with a question, I press A7 and out pops an answer. The next day, my goodness me, I shall do that again because you give me answers. B for 52 and out pops an answer. What you're developing in your team members is a reliability on you, where you do their thinking for them. And you create a dependency. Makes you feel needed. And it makes them feel lazy. But they like it. Because, who really needs to think? And congratulations, you have just become a vending machine. So instead, if we think about what coaching is, it's about helping others think. Instead, when someone comes to you with a question and presses A7 and looks at you eagerly, waiting for the Kit Kat to come out the bottom, I want you to ask a question back. I would like to challenge you to ask up to 3 questions before you give the answer. Just hold yourself back for 3. What have you tried so far? What did you do last time? What did I tell you last time? Where did you write down those instructions? Where else could you find the answer? I could go on. Ask them questions to help them think. When they start to think and realize they know the answer, they just don't know that they know the answer, then that's the moment for you to realize, I've started coaching. Coaching is appropriate when you know that they know, they just don't know that they know the answer. So welcome to being the opposite of a vending machine. So to tie this all up, where would we land if we didn't have a 2x2 matrix? Could it possibly be possible? Well, we have technical skills on the horizontal and relational skills on the vertical. So when we have limited technical and limited relational, we have a bit of a well-meaning amateur. Some of you might find yourself there going, beginning of my career, I really don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know who I'm with. What is that person's name? I think I'm working with them. Not sure. You're there. That could be them. Or you might be more familiar with this one, where you're technically very strong, but relationally might find it tough. In fact, you're brilliant, very knowledgeable, and quite often promoted because of that technical expertise. If you had me working for you, you'd find me in the low accounting and auditing space, technical skill, but good with communication and coaching and bringing out the best in others. What the future finance leader needs is the and. It is both good technical and good relational skills. Building trust quickly with team members, with clients, with partners. Creating safety so that people can raise concerns and risks and ideas without feeling fear. Leading change and developing others. So the future finance leader is sitting on the top right of this diagram. That is the destination. What got you here won't get you there. You need to build the capabilities to expand your repertoire, to augment your technical skills so that you can lead effectively in the future. So I invite you to join us in the masterclass that I will be facilitating specifically and only exclusively for the CwX community to learn more about how you can take that next step. You can lead your firm. You can initiate or integrate our learning into your organization. We are not a training provider. We're an organization that helps people learn. There's a big difference there. But we look forward to getting to know you, and we hope that we've inspired you to take one step in the direction where you can people better.
So today I'm going to go through what is available on our IFRS app. And a lot of it might not be relevant to all of you, IFRS 18 and how it works, but a lot of how we decided to do it will also be relevant in SME and then will also flow into desktop. So I'm going to showcase that to you if you have not seen that before. So for the, So IFRS 18 is a significant amount of changes, as I'm sure you've seen. I mean, you can't open LinkedIn or social media and there's not something that is about IFRS 18. So very, very relevant to the industry. It's only effective for years beginning 1 Jan 2027. So most of our clients will only really apply that in 31st December 2027 year end. So next December year end. Although some might do interim, so there might be some earlier in the year. In the cloud app, we are, however, able to give you the option. Do you want to still apply IAS 1 or do you want to do IFRS 18? And by answering that one question, your disclosure, your notes, and your grouping will change by itself. So if you haven't seen our cloud apps yet, this is a very big picture of one. And most of our apps starts with one document. In this one case, it's 101, which is engagement setup. And as you build and complete it, more documents will flow. So it's really optimize that you only see what is relevant to your engagement and make sure that you only see, provide a workflow for you to follow. So if I jump just into the mapping screen quickly, you'll see there I've got my balance sheet, but I don't have my income statement portion. And I want to show you how it's going to change once I answer that question in 101. So 101 is our first checklist that's going to come up. And in here, you're going to accept some disclaimers. And then this is going to build basically your info store with some settings and format that you can do here. So the first question here is internally and externally. So if you would do a compilation, if you select externally, then all your work programs for compilation will be included. I'm just going to do internally today. I'm going to do a company. And then if I scroll down a bit, there's my question for IFRS 18. Now you'll see just below it is the IFRS 19 that also came in last week. And by answering this question, like I said, all those disclosures and stuff change. So different to desktop because you can't make a mistake by mapping wrong or anything like that. If I scroll down a little bit more, just one more question that I want to highlight here is in the cloud app, we also give you the option to have your accounting policies as part of a note or as one separate accounting policy. So you have a choice. And by making the selection, it will already be applied to all your accounting policies and notes as you go forward. If you then have a look at the document manager, you'll immediately see there's some more documents that gets added because you've now completed that one checklist. So builds on the workflow. If I then look at the data tab and go back there you'll see is my IFRS 18 mapping that has been added. So we didn't want to give you the mapping, then you start the mapping and then halfway through realize you're not on IAS 1, you're actually IFRS 18 and redo that. So that's why that only becomes visible once you've made the decision if you want to do IFRS 18 or IAS 1. Then let's have a look at some disclosure that's then specifically for IFRS 18. Now, this is a new structure, like I said, and you have the operating, investing, financing tax discontinued like the standard requires or suggests. And you will see quite an extensive range of mapping included there. Now, why we have so many mapping, let's just give it a second so that you can have a look. And if we look at financing, that will look a little bit more familiar to you to the finance cost examples that we get. Now, why there's so many mapping is because this will drive the automation and your notes and in your disclosure. If we didn't have the mapping, then it means you will have to go and manually intervene when you get to your notes and your disclosure. Now, like I say, for desktop, although different technology, the grouping structure will look very similar to this because this is what the standard requirements are. Then if I open the apps, then we can have a look on how it looks there. So if I open it and if I jump then to my statement of comprehensive income, you'll see there's a look of how IFRS 18 will look. It's quite an extensive TV, so you probably won't have all those line items, but it's just to give you an idea of the options that you have. Now, one of the features in cloud, and it doesn't matter which app you use in the financials, is if you look below the gross profit line, there's a net interest income expense line with a little arrow next to it. And then you have 2 lines below it that's almost a subtotal to that. Now, anywhere where you see that little arrow, and you'll see it everywhere on the income statement, you can expand or collapse that section if you would want to. So you're not limited to the number of lines that you have. So I'm going to show you, if you now don't want to show that heading, so you want to keep it expanded, and you want to now show just the interest income from financing customers and the expense below it, how you will hide that. So first, if you click on the 3 dots there at the top, then you go to Edit Dynamic Table. You will select the row, and then you have that little eye at the top, and you can say hide, and that will hide it. And that's how easy it is to customize and make it entity specific for you. In a similar fashion, if you perhaps want to switch it back because you made a mistake, you could just say show hidden items, and there is your line visible to just switch on again. So that's how you can show and hide all the different disclosure. And I'm just going to save this. And then you'll see on your income statement that line is now not there anymore. If I then have a look at 2 specific notes for IFRS 18, the first one is obviously the expenses note, which is quite large. You'll have your operating category and then all your categories, and it adding up to the right. So this is a requirement of the standard that we have, which is by function. And if I then scroll down, you'll see some more lines coming up. There's your financing. And then you have also these sections here. Now, this is not a requirement per se, but we did feel that some of our users might want to see at one place your total employee costs, which is now broken up on the sections. So here we've included, and if you want to see your total employee costs, you can actually see it in this note. Like I say, not a requirement, but from our feedback that we have of our content providers, it came back that something would be very useful to our clients. Then I'm going to scroll a bit down, and then you'll see there's some other sections that's also here. But you can choose to include or exclude, and I'm going to show you the leases one, how you exclude that. So anywhere in the app, if you click on the 3 dots and you select exclude, then that section will be excluded and it will not be included in the file anymore. Then if I jump to the management performance measures, so that's the other note that is required by IFRS 18. So this is really very, very entity specific. So we've included some custom wording, we've included a table for you to also, and also how to recon back to a line that is in the income statement. And then anywhere where you see that little light bulb and you click on it anywhere in the app, it will give you some guidance. And this one is giving you guidance to use the reconciling that it adds up that your undefined difference works, because it's not something that we can build standard into the template. So this light bulb, like I say, available in any app, and that's how our guidance will work. The next features that I want to show you is some version control and the review function, and then also the carry forward. So I'm going to start with the version control. And this is if you have, at any point in time, you can have a snapshot of your financials, and you can then compare it with each other and see what has changed from the one version to another version. Now remember also, you can have multiple people working in the same file at the same time. If you're on the same paragraph, that specific paragraph will be locked, but you can review and work on it in the same file. So if you've asked somebody to maybe do a last minute tax expense journal, you can then quickly compare the 2 versions and make sure that is actually the only change that they have made. So for this note, I've done trade and other receivables, and I have made some changes. So you'll see that first pledge of security has the 3.5 and the 2.8, and then the 4th paragraph has the 45 days and the 45 days. So those were the customizations that I've done with this note. And then there is your version compare. You can have up to 10 versions that you can compare with each other. And that creates then a snapshot in that moment in time. So I'm going to say OK, and then you can select the 2 that you want to compare, and I'm going to say compare. And then you can see the red and the green indicators. So the green is what's new, the red was what was deleted. So there you'll see I had a dash, now it's a 3.5, dash 2.8, then I had some guidance text, and then I had loads. A little bit down, that paragraph was excluded. That's why I have the little no entry sign. And then the same with the 45 days and the triple X's. If I click on the back arrow, this is what my first version looked like. Second arrow shows what it's now looking like, show differences, bring back the color. So that's a very cool picture on how to compare. Like I say, this is available also in all the apps, not this specifically. If you want to change anything or you want to leave a comment, because I've now reviewed it, anywhere we see the flag sign, it's an issue feature. You can click on it, you can raise an issue and say, let's go and double check, this should actually be changed, and that will come up on your issues there at the top. And the red flag there. If I scroll down, there's my red flaggy. Right, then next, what I want to show you is a carry forward. So this is if you do your roll forward. So now we have made some changes to the template. You've done some customization. Now do your next year file. How will this come into your file? And you'll be able to see what was changed and what not. So this file is already carried forward. So again, you'll just see 101 because that's the first document that we've done. And then let's see how it looks when we open it. And again, you'll see the green and the red. So you can accept all of these, or you can go one by one and you can accept it. So for 101, I'm very comfortable that everything should be the same. So I'm going to say carry forward what my answers was last year. But now I remember there was one change that I had to do. My basis of prep, I don't want it to be the same everywhere. I got some feedback from Urba, so that I want to change. And I can go and do that. So it's not like you carry forward the changes and you can never change it again. It's still there for you to use and to change it. And again, as soon as you've done with that document, the rest of your documents will start to populate. Now, in the next section, what I'm going to show you is the share capital note. So you'll see my carry forward as that little change indicator next to it. And if I go to my share capital note, you'll see the green is the new, the red is the old. So in this template, we've added authorized share capital in our release because it's something that was not there before. And now I want to change only this section. I don't want to accept the whole note because I've also made some customizations to this note before. And by clicking the green button there, carry forward changes from the prior, I don't want to carry it forward because I actually want to include what was done in the template. And then I'm going to dismiss that. The same with the next table. I want to dismiss the changes because I rather want to pull in the compliance requirement that was done on share capital. If I now scroll down, this is a new section, and which I've built in my prior file. So if I go to my prior file, I scroll down a bit, I've included this new section here, and I've also got this additional text here. So this is customization that I've done to this file, and I want this to carry forward. I don't want to redo this customization. So for these sections, I'm going to say the green ticks, that one I'm going to dismiss, the green is accept, and then that will come in. So that is how you will do a carry forward with template changes as well as customization. Now, next what we're going to look at is the review tool. So this tool gives you quite a few indicators there. We're just going to look at the new content, and you'll see that there's currently 6 items there. So anywhere where there's new content, this green plus is there. And that's why that new section and the additional text is not standard in the template, and it comes up as new content. I'm going to add another section, and this is how you can customize your financials and add some more additional text. And then if I go back to my review tool, now you'll see that your new content is now 7. So that is how the review function works. Very powerful to indicate what has changed from your standard template. Right, then a new feature that we've included in our IFRS app, which we will also do later on our SME app, is the visualization. And this is a dashboard with graphs and some nice features for you to add to your financials. So this is a first glance on how your dashboard will look. You can build this and customize based on the grouping and what you want to see in the engagement file. This is just 2 that I have. You can add some comments if you would want to, and something that you can, as an add-on, gift your clients or use internally. So how this works, if you've got the analysis wizard, it populates from your mapping structure. And I'm going to add a total assets to total liability one. And I'm going to say add to analysis. And then you'll have some color indicators that you can then specify under your thresholds. I'm going to do a composition stacked. That option gives you 5 years available data that you can include. And there's your graph, which you can then edit. You can change the labels, change the heading if you would want to. You can also add it to your inventory. You can have up to 10 currently, different visualizations. And then you can choose to add it to your dashboard, so the first page that I showed you, but also add it to the document, which will enable you to add it in your financials if you would want to make it part of that. So if we go back to the inventory then, the dashboard, you'll see these are my 2 graphs that I had, and then here's my total assets to total liabilities. And if you hover over it, you see some data, there's your add commentary field, etc. So let me show you then, last feature. If you go to settings at the top, there's quite a lot of formatting and fonts that you can do. So I chose this custom brand, and if you click on that edit field, then you'll see you can change it that it also agrees to your corporate colors or how you want to disclose it, and you can add that to your engagement. Then how you add this in the financials. So if I go to my financial statements again, I can add an area. So again, a feature that's available anywhere, a page we call an area. So if you click on that plus there at the left top corner, and I'm going to say new area, and then you'll see it was added at the bottom, and I'm going to change this to supplementary information. Then if I click on the blue plus again, visuals, and there was my visual that I've just included. So quite easy to add it, like I say, as a supplementary information or as an add-on for your client. You can also continue to build on this. You can add text, add tables. Again, do this anywhere in your financials, not necessarily just in your supplementary information page. I just showed it in this one. Then I want to lastly show you Verity. So like you've heard this morning, but earlier today, we are working on Verity. And I just want to show you one use case of what we found to do it in the financials app. So firstly, where do you find Verity? So on the right-hand side, there's a little icon. If you click on that, there is your Verity, like I said before, but it's in your engagement and works with your engagement data. So for my use case, I'm uploading the prior AFs. So click upload. I'm selecting my IS1 financials that I've done already. For last year that was signed off, I can quickly open it, double check. It stays in the format. So if you have PDF, Word, Excel, it stays in the format that you have. And this is my IS1 that was prepared. Now I'm doing IFRS 18 this year. And as you guys know, with IFRS 18, you have to restate the previous year. So I want some guidance on my IFRS 18 restatement note. So if I go to my income statement, you'll see this is a bit shorter than the one that I showed before. And I'm going to ask Verity the question to say, compare the document signed AFs to this, and please help me with my restatement note. And I'm going to expand it, but you can just see how it works. So warning, it's for professional review, it's just a draft. And then it starts with your restatement note. and also some key points for the auditors here at the bottom. I'm just going to scroll back to the top that you can see the complete answer because it went a bit quick there. So there's my comparison table. IS1, IFRS 18. It picked up the 1.5 was the difference. It's giving some nature of what the difference is. And then there's your draft restatement note, and then some key points for the auditors. So Mo will show in the session a bit later how then the next evolvement is from this when you use agents and with the financials app and what will then happen. Right, so that is what I wanted to show you today on our apps. I hope you are as excited as we are. A lot of compliance changes coming through, and we are really wanting to assist you as far as possible if you're on cloud or desktop or where you are on your compliance, that you have a solution that is suitable for you. I do want to quickly mention what's going to happen, how it's going to happen in our next apps. So SME app is going to be released in Q4, like I've mentioned before, and that's going to include the new SME standard. So the same like your IFRS 18 question that you have in the IFRS app, you'll have a question. So you can do all standard or new standard per engagement file. So if you have multiple clients, some on old, some on new, then you can start to adopt it if you would want to. Then on the IFRS and interims template, so this is now on desktop, which will be in Q2 next year, that will then include IFRS 18 and IFRS 19. Now, very similar to the mapping that you've seen in this IFRS app, will also then be included in there. So it is a big change to your income statement. It is a whole revamp of that. And we do expect most likely at this stage, when we're doing the development, that your financials will be a full replace with this release. So just something to keep into consideration when you do your planning. And then, like I've mentioned, we've got working papers with our IFRS SME releases that's always happen in October. So this release will include our SME new standard, mandated from 1 Jan, so that will be effective then. So our desktop templates will include the content when you need it, but you won't be able to early adopt there. It will be for that period only.
Afternoon. Thank you for joining me. So here in the cinema, we're going over smarter review engagements and specifically how you're going to deliver quality without over-reviewing. So just a reminder on the agenda. So this is just where we are right now. And then next in the cinema is going to be client inquiries, attestation, and agreed upon. So before I get into it, just an introduction on who I am. So my name is Priyanka Govender. I'm the product owner for Assurance. Within my portfolio is the Probe Suite, Audit International, ISRE Review, which we're going to be showing today, and then ISO Audit, which I've been demoing up in the front in the showcase. So ISRE Review does sit within the Assurance and Related Services portfolio in the ecosystem. So I do have a bit of a demo for you, but before we get into that, just what makes our solution stand out. So firstly, we have built-in compliance. So ISRE Review is built with ISRE 2400 revised. So those standards are built into the product from planning up until finalization. We have automated checklists. So based on the selections that you make within planning, your work program or your financial statement area checklists are automated. We have an integrated ratio analysis and inquiries. So we will show a bit of that in the demo. Just to show you how when you do your ratio analysis, how that integrates with inquiries that you can send to clients, and then just how that works through your actual planning. We have real-time collaboration. So on all our cloud apps, multiple people can work on the product at the same time. You also have collaboration where clients that are answering queries can then answer the queries, and that comes directly into your file, which we'll also show in the demo. And then obviously with all our cloud-based apps, you have your cloud-based security because it is based on the SE platform. So let's jump into our demo. So first we're going to start with ratios and comparisons. So we'll navigate to document 134 within the file, which is our overall analytical review. So on this document, there are a couple of tabs and we'll go through them sequentially. So first we have our manual adjustments for ratio calculations. So here you can make a selection for between cash and credit sales just to make sure that your ratios are calculated correctly. So you add in what your credit sales are, what your cash sales are. You can add in for the current year and the prior year, and you select to use. And then what that does is it updates your ratios on the ratio analysis tab. You can also add comments in. So all our tabs on, all the tables on these tabs will have the same comment box for you to add in comments as you go. So onto the ratio analysis. We have different categories of ratios on the ratio analysis, and they have little tooltips to just explain to the users as they're going on. You'll see now on our day sales receivables, we have that amount that we put in on the manual adjustment. So that's automatically pulled through. If we go to these ratios, there's a couple of columns here. We'll go through variance deemed significant just now. Measure against, you can select between prior period, budget, industry, or other. So if you select budget, you add in a value, so the budgeted value that you have, and your difference will then update based on that budgeted value. You can also do the same for industry and other. So when you select industry or other, you also add in your value, and then that value that you add in is what your difference is calculated on from the current year to that value inputted. And then the column to the right of that will be where you see your variance deemed significant. So if we go to our cash ratio, we can then add in a variance deemed significant. So this is a value that you're putting in that if above that you want to kind of know, it's flagged for you. So you see here the prior period only is calculated based on prior period. We've now selected inquire, and on document 131, it's now going to have an actual query or procedure with a query attached to it that we can send on to the client, because now we know that this particular ratio is above the variance we deem significant for that ratio. So if we jump into now document 131 with the hyperlink, we navigate to financial results. And on our financial results, we see that there's now a procedure added into our checklist, which says inquire about the increase in the cash ratio, and it shows the prior year and the current year value of our ratio. And it shows you where that actual procedure is coming from, document 134. So you can then jump back into document 134, and you can jump back through here, or you can jump back on our documents on the sidebar. You can navigate your documents recently opened. It's a quick way to just jump in. And now let's look at the comparison tab. So that's the last tab on this document. So here you look at your balances for current year and prior year. You can choose up to 3 years prior year, depending on the values that you put in on your imported TB. And you can see your financial statement level as well as the categories of your financial statement level based on the values inputted. You can then click inquire here as well. So when you click inquire on comparison, it pulls through a similar procedure but in your financial statement area checklist. So when you're actually doing each financial statement area checklist, you're going to get an inquiry procedure with a related query that you can direct to the client on the movement in the current year and prior year of that specific financial statement area. And we'll look at that just now when we look at the financial statement area checklist. So you guys are all in the main room and you've seen a little bit about what Verity can do, and you've heard about Verity. So in all our demos today, we are just showing you a bit of what Verity can do within each product, and sort of getting you a bit excited for AI in all our SE apps. So Verity is on the side of each app, and it's accessible at all times. If you click on it, you can chat in that specific box. You can have start new conversations. You can also then expand this to full screen. In full screen mode, you will see that it keeps a history of all the chats that you've done in that specific app. If we just look at this one that I've already prompted with Verity, and I've asked it to just give me the financial statement areas with movements that are above 20%. So it's given me per financial statement area and per sections also the movements. It's also sort of figured out the correlation between certain movements and given me possible reasons why these movements have occurred. And at the bottom, it's given me a key risk areas summary. So it said, this is what's high, this is what's medium, and these are the stuff we need to focus on. So when we're raising our misstatements likely to arise, which is our risks in a review file, then we can look at this to make sure we're covering all our bases. The good thing about Verity is that you don't need to get outside of the application. It's all in the application, and it's reading information that's in your application. It does also link specific documents. So if it's reading from a specific document, you are going to see a little link to that document. Like you can see 1080-105, that's my retained income actual grouping numbers. It does tell you where it's pulling information from. And then like all AI tools that you have, you've got the little disclaimer at the bottom just to tell you this is AI generated information. Now we're going to look at inquiries. So this is the inquiries feature that is in all SE apps. There's also a specific client inquiries app that we have, which is similar features. The client inquiries app allows you to make use of the inquiries feature and integrates it with your Caseware Working Papers desktop products. So if you want to still make use of the SE application in desktop, there is a way to do that, and that's in the next demo in the cinema. So just to show you how it works in the SE app. So you go into document 131 and you make the selection to use the query document. So we're saying, yes, we want to use 142.1. It then activates the query document for us. We then go in, and this is our template for our query documents. So we can tailor any procedures. We can add procedures as well. And then you'll see here's our cash ratio procedure that's come up because of the tick that we made on document 134 ratio analysis. And it's worded differently because now this is going directly to the client. So we want it to be worded in a way that the client reads it and then can respond to it. So once you've tailored your queries, you can then send it to your clients. So you can select a due date, which is whatever date you'd like. You can then select the client that you want to send it to. You can send it to multiple clients as well. You can add in a little message into the email body. They will get an automated email once you hit OK. But you can add a bit more context if you need to. And then once you've sent it, you will get a little message on here that says that it's now been sent to one contact. And you will see that we're now going to get a little filter at the top to show you that there are queries that are awaiting response, that there's no responses submitted, returned, accepted at the moment, but that filter view shows once you've sent it over to your clients. So now we've seen in the app, so when this is sent to the client, they get an email and they get a link. When they click on the link, they take into Caseware Cloud. They're not in your application, they're just in Caseware Cloud, and they're accessing the query itself. So this is what a client will see. So they see the list of queries. They can then answer the queries one by one and submit them one by one. They can also choose to answer them all and send them all at once. But I think answering them one by one is a bit better because if they know some answers and not the others, then they can send them off as they go and you don't sort of have to wait for everything at the same time. And once they answer, you will see that our filters are now updating on the side. Certain queries will also prompt additional queries. So like strategies where we've answered yes, it's now going to ask you to provide more information. And then you enter in the information there and you submit that on. And so we've just submitted 4 at the moment. So now we go back into our engagement file. And here we can see we have the 4. And now we can decide to accept or return those 4. We also see a bit of an audit trail where someone sent it back, and then we'll see that someone has accepted it. So you kind of can track from a date perspective and a time perspective. There's one that we returned. So if you go to that one, we can see that now it's the audit trail showing us that we've returned something and it's gone back to the client. You can also see in the top, you can see that the client, you can't see it too clearly, but you do get the initials RG at the top. So that shows that the client is in the query document. They're not in your file, but it just lets you be aware that the client has actually got it open. Maybe they're attending to it. Maybe you're going to get stuff coming through. Then when you're happy with the queries and when they've responded to all, you click on Mark All Responded. This then marks your document as complete and it locks your query document. So then it's just locked and it's there on the file. Now, what happens when we accept our query documents one by one is if we go back into document 131 and we go to the procedure that is linked to a query, we'll see that that procedure now shows the query as well as the client response, and it allows us to now answer the question based on the client response that we've received. So this will happen once you've accepted the response from the client in your query document. So this just assists in terms of just making sure that all your documentation is on one place and you're correlating with what the client has responded to versus what you're seeing and how you're responding in your specific engagement. And then lastly, on the queries, there is a dashboard for all open queries or active queries in your engagement file. So here we'll see that the first 2 are marked as complete because they are now locked and done. There's some in draft form, and then there's one where it's reopened because we've returned one to a client, and it shows that there's a number of ones that are responded, and it shows our due dates as well as the client that we've sent it to. So now we're going to look at misstatements likely to arise. So for our probe users, this is our likely to be misstated. So it's the same principle, it's just called something different in ISRE review. And first, we're going to just show how to raise it. So on the dialog, you click on misstatements likely to arise, and this will then open up your risk or your MLTA dialog. You then enter in the title, you can enter in a description as well as the area. So either it is, the level, either pervasive or area. When you click on area, it then allows you to select a financial statement area that you're going to link your misstatement likely to arise to. You can also select your, so once you select your area, you can also select your source, which is documents within your file, as well as a review response. And then you click on save. And then it saves your actual misstatement. And then you go to the dashboard. So either the MLTA dashboard or document 161, which is a link to that dashboard. And then you'll see that we have raised a pervasive. We've got 2 other MLTAs, and then we've got our tax MLTA that we've just raised. So here you can then add your source. So any fields that you've added in the actual dialog, you can edit now in this card. You can add in your source. You can add in a review response as well. You add in when the concern was identified. So this is something you do just in the actual card. You can then sign off. You can filter your MLTA. So if you have a long list, you can filter by sign off, by the type, so either fraud, significant, or normal. You can filter by area, and then when the concern was identified. So if you want to know what I've identified at what stage in my review engagement, then you're able to filter like that. So the misstatements likely to arise is one way to activate your financial statement area checklists. The other way is then our material financial statement areas. And what drives both of this is document 160. So we'll navigate to document 160. So this is similar to 126 that you've seen outside, but this is more for review engagements. So here we have a list of our financial statement areas. You'll see anything that is material is marked with an M, and you've got a link to your work program. You also then have a star to indicate that there's a misstatement likely to arise attached to that financial statement area. And you then have certain ones which have both risk of financial statement area and a material FSA. You then have your disclosure and presentation. So these ones you can mark as either qualitative or quantitative. When you mark them as material, your inquiries and your analytical procedures are auto-ticked. So once something is material, you're required to do analytical procedures and inquiries. And then you get your work paper reference. So once something is activated, either by it there being a misstatement likely to arise or by it being material, it's then activating the work program. Then from document 160, you can then go in to your work program, and you can then review the work so that you can say you're happy with the work before the execution on it actually starts. So here we have our procedures for material financial statement area and misstatement likely to arise. These are standard procedures. These can be tailored. You can also add in your own procedures if you want to add, especially for misstatement likely to arise, because this is specific to your engagement. You can then select what type of procedure you want to add. It then goes into that checklist. If you look at additional procedures, there is then a procedure that we've added, MLTA procedures. That's the one that we've added. Then onto queries. So once again, you will select that you want to use the query document. So on inquiries made to entity personnel, you say, yes, I want to make use of the query document. You then click the hyperlink, you go into the queries, and here we'll just look at the prior period comparison, and that's the query that's now populated because I've ticked inquire on the comparison tab in document 134. So it pops up a procedure on my checklist as well as this query that I can then direct to clients. So back into the work program. So there are standard sort of finalization completion procedures in each work program. The first is specific considerations. The 2 important questions here is non-compliance and fraud. So if you answer yes to either of these, it does provide a summary in one of our reporting documents, which we'll see just now because we have said yes to fraud on this one. We then have our procedures, outcome, and reporting. So here, the questions that we answer are actually going to populate the conclusion for our work program for us. So depending on what you answer here, you're going to get one option for our conclusion. So this allows for, it's a part of the built-in compliance. So if you're saying that something is possibly misstated and you haven't got sufficient evidence, it's not going to allow you to conclude that you're comfortable with this financial statement area. So here you can see we've only got one option, and this is based on what I've answered above. Then lastly, for the reviewers in the room, so we have review tools. So here, if you toggle this on, you will see that there are certain things that are highlighted for us. So here we see this is an added content. So this is something we've added on. We see that there is a non-optimal response here. Because we've answered yes to this question, we're like, this could be a possible issue. So a reviewer can see the responses that don't look so good, and then they can follow up to see have I actually adequately addressed this area. And then you can toggle it off. So you can keep it on or you can toggle it off, and this is done then per work program checklist. Then lastly, we've got our dashboards and summaries. So once again, more for the reviewers, engagement partners. So the first one in planning is document 182. So this is just an overall engagement summary. The important parts, or what we want to highlight here, is the summary dashboard. So here we see the total MLTAs, pervasive area between fraud and significant. We also see the total FSA sections and what's material FSAs. We have pervasive matters. So there's a document we complete where we have the responses to pervasive matters at a planning stage, and that conclusion pulls through in this document. We also have links to document 161 as well as document 160, which then helps user go into the documents where they can see how the work has been planned. And then that's from a planning perspective. Then on the reporting side, we've got document 930. So in document 930, we have the pervasive MLTA again. So that same conclusion is pulling through. And then we have material FSAs that were assessed as material after planning. So when you revise materiality in document 125, you go to material FSA finalization tab, and there's a flag next to current tax liability because that's now material based on my revised materiality, which is lower than my initial materiality. So it flags to the user that this is something they possibly need to address at a finalization stage. In this particular engagement, we had an MLTA here, so we've already addressed it from an MLTA perspective, so we've got a bit of coverage, but we may want to just go back into it now that it's material to just make sure that we've got that coverage from a material perspective. Then back into document 930. So remember we said yes to fraud and revenue. So if you look under the fraud procedure, we have revenue there. We then answer yes and more procedures pop up. So we now need to address that possible fraud within revenue. And non-compliance has no FSA, so we can answer no there. We then have our standard subsequent events, going concern. Going concern conclusion does pull through from that work program as well. And then we have matters for engagement partners' attention. So these can be raised throughout the file, just like how we raise MLTAs. You can also raise them within this document. And then once you've raised them, then you just need to execute a couple of other procedures for coverage. And then the last part of this document is we have the reviewer's conclusion. So we have the conclusion, overall conclusion of every single work program. And the reviewer can then have a quick snapshot of the conclusion in each one. If they don't want to go into each work program and go through everything, they can see this is the conclusion. These are the ones I actually want to go into. These are the ones that are maybe signed off, but I haven't actually concluded on. So it's a nice snapshot from a reviewer perspective to just see which ones I actually need to pay attention to when I'm looking at it. Cool. And that's it from me for ISRE review. I hope you've enjoyed what you've seen. And if it's the first time you're seeing the review app, I hope I've gained some interest here. If you have any questions, I will be outside at the booth afterwards. So we are going to have just a 2-minute break while we swap over. And then just next within this room is going to be clients inquiries, attestation, and agreed upon, all SE apps as well. And back in the main room is going to be ISO audit. So our new audit application, just demoing what we've done so far there. Thank you.
Welcome back. I'm going to be taking you through ISO audit. So I am super excited about this, and I really, really hope that by the end of this, you guys are super excited about what's coming as well. So this is essentially, I want to take you through our ISO audit new app that is going to sit under external audit in our ecosystem. And today I'm going to give you a first look into ISO audit and what we have been developing so far. So we looked at this as the audit profession is evolving continuously. There are new standards. It's just a constant moving target, it feels like, more than time. So what we needed to do is give you something more than just electronic working papers. So there's a need for proper guided methodology, consistency across all your engagements so that your different audit files don't actually have different ways of auditing. Also, helping with better collaboration, because with on the cloud, everybody can work at the same time without having to lock out, pull out files and put them back in. So ultimately, this will all give you less administration and give you the ability to use more professional judgment while you perform your audits. So that's ultimately what ISO audit is going to do for you. So as we said, this is an early preview. It is only going to be available to go to market in 2027. So this is just a showcase of the progress we've made so far, but there are some really cool things in here. So when we were building it, we started with you as the auditor, not the technology. And we wanted to say, we were thinking, what would benefit you the most? And ultimately, improving your audit quality and efficiency is something that we saw as one of the key tactics for us to get right in this product. So it has been designed for a cloud-first environment, but it is not just a lift and a shift of your traditional working papers onto cloud. That is really not what we're doing. So we've built this around how auditors work today, and really, like I said, trying to improve efficiency and improve your, in general, audit quality. And it's supporting ISO compliance. And I think that is probably also, that's one of our biggest key factors when we built this. So why does this matter to you? So I've said it now a couple times, the objective is not to move firms to the cloud. It's to improve quality and your audit quality on all your engagements. It's also to help you work more efficiently as a team and consistently as teams. So like I said, I'm going to give you a little look into ISO audit and what we have done so far. We have focused on the planning phase. This is as far as we have gotten in terms of our actual development so far. So I'm going to take you through what we have built and a few of the items within there. And just to give you a bit of a show of the product direction that we're going to, and just bearing in mind, it's not a final product. Okay, I hope you're ready. So first up, we go into our engagement setup. So this is a standard form, and every engagement has to start with a solid foundation. If you get it wrong from the beginning, it will be wrong the whole way through. So our engagement setup within the cloud space is a really simple guided setup file process, and we have split the file setup into 3 different forms. So we've got the optimization, which is what you can see here. We've also got the general file setup, and then we've also separated out client acceptance and engagement acceptance and continuance. So that is a separate form that you deal with separately. What we show here is that in this app, you're able to then select your financial reporting framework, and that will drive and optimize your file as you go. So for example, if you had to select IFRS here, that will drive and optimize your file all the way through, and nothing will show that relates to SME. Not even if you select to show hidden items. So there's no way of anyone performing any incorrect procedures. So that's a nice way that I think it could just help in terms of efficiencies and making sure no one's doing stuff that shouldn't actually be performed. So you also have the ability to select the type of company, or type of entity rather, that you are auditing, as well as the country of incorporation. So we do have quite a few here already as examples, and there will be more as we need. Okay, from there, once you've set up your file, the next place we move to is materiality. So we have a standard materiality form that is included in all the cloud files where it's needed. And what we have changed from a pro perspective is we've added the ability to set your specific materiality early on. So this is included in our overall materiality form, and ultimately helps you focus your risk assessment where there's higher risks or where you believe that more focus is required. So you can see for this example, we've put in loans receivables and we've given it a materiality of 100,000 Rand. The other nice thing about materiality is if you look at the very top, you can see the overall planning and overall performance materiality, and that is visible at any time across your file. So it really is there to inform your planning decisions and help you as you go along, so that you don't have to keep going back to materiality to open it and see what is there. So if you do click on that as well, it is like effectively like a hyperlink, and it opens up the form and brings you directly here. Okay. From there, we move on to identifying financial statement areas. So this is where it will show you the list of all the FSAs within your TB, and this is all ones that have balances. You can also see where items are highlighted as material, and where specific materiality is accounted for, it's considered. You can see where loans receivable has a smaller balance than materiality, but is highlighted as material. You can also do it qualitatively, and you can see if any risks have been raised at this point already against any of the FSAs. So again, this helps you focus your risk assessment and work through things as they come up. So financial statements and financial statement areas and COT ABDs. So COT ABDs is classes of transactions and balances and disclosures. I'll only say that once, it's a mouthful. But this is really what I'm most excited about. And if you've been at the Tech Showcase and you have seen a little bit about what it has to offer, this is, I think, a game changer for pretty much every firm. So basically what we are going to do is we're moving from FSAs, financial statement areas, to your COT ABDs. And this is really going to enable a truly risk-based audit approach. So it allows you to assess risks at a more detailed level, and it's very specific, and it's going to allow you to tailor your procedures to be very specific to that COT ABD level. This, again, like we said, is going to reduce unnecessary work and really improve the efficiency on all your audit files. So if we move to obtaining an understanding of your financial statement areas, excuse me, this is essentially the equivalent of 1051 in Probe that a lot of you will already be familiar with. So you perform your risk assessment procedures and you include any relevant information that is required. We also have included the integrated inquiries tool, so you have the ability of utilizing that within our file. And this allows you to send questions to clients, request information from clients, and when it's received back, you can then go and link it to a specific area within your file. I will demonstrate this in a little more detail just now as we move through the product. So on every form where you assess the risk assessment, where you perform risk assessment procedures on FSAs and COT ABDs, you'll see these three headings being the balance sheet FSAs, income statement FSAs, and other disclosure FSAs. The procedures on balance sheets and income statement will be consistent, and the other disclosures will be dependent on and tailored towards what your actual other disclosures are that you've identified. So if we move to balance sheet FSAs, every single FSA that has a current year or a prior year balance will automatically be enabled. You can manually enable if you would like to do risk assessment procedures on another specific one. And again, you can see which ones are material and which ones have a risk that have been raised next to it. And these are by the icons that we've included. So for the exciting changes, so what we have now given you is the ability to split out your FSAs into what we are calling, or into the different categories. So you have the ability, it's based on your auditor judgment. So you would need to document your judgment around it. And this, again, like we said, allows for more granular risk assessment. You're able to split out into one or two or all of the separate COT ABDs, or decide altogether not to split them out. So this really helps you focus your work where you need to focus. Instead of doing a whole lot of procedures, for example, if you had a risk on trade and other receivables for existence, it would require you would have to perform work on every single one of these categories. But what we're allowing you to do is to split these out so that you don't have to do work on every single category, but just on the ones where you believe, in terms of your judgment, more work is required. Okay, so I'm going to do some different options. So the first option I'm going to show you is trade and other receivables. So you can you expand each FSA and you perform your identify possible RMM procedures. So you then need to just document your understanding of your FSAs, and then this will guide you in terms of do your categories have different risk characteristics, and you want to separate them out. So in this example, we have identified that there are different characteristics, and we want to split out every single COT ABD. So you can see once you selected after answering our questions that we want to separate them out, we've then selected that every single one of them is a separate COT ABD. And when we do raising risks, I'll show you how that then links. In our next example, we're going to look at cash and cash equivalents. And you're going to perform the exact same risk assessment, identify risk assessment procedures. And in this case, we have elected or decided based on our judgment that they do not have different risk characteristics. So we have selected no. And then you can see that there is no separate COT ABD that gets selected. So this FSA will then become your COT ABD. So if you raise a risk for cash and cash equivalents, that risk will then apply to all the different categories within there because that is now your COT ABD. In our final example, we're going to look at trade and other payables. And again, you perform the exact same procedures in terms of identifying your risk of material misstatement, and it's the same for every single FSA. So in this case, again, we've identified that there are separate risk characteristics. However, we have only identified one item, being trade payables, as our separately identifiable COT ABD. So what the product then does is that it groups the remainder of the categories within that FSA, and they become a separate COT ABD. And based on that, you would then need to assess if it's a material, does it require an audit response based on that. So these are the three ways that you can split them out. And like I said, very excited about the possibilities that this gives you as audit firms. From there, we move on to our preliminary analytical review. So the PAR is a really important tool to gain an understanding of your entity and also to help you identify unusual trends. You have the ability to select up to 3 years for comparison, but in this example, we're going to just use 1. So you can see if there are material fluctuations, it automatically shows you with an exclamation mark, and you have the ability to inquire specifically. And then you can go straight back to your understanding, and you can see that the specific procedure and the question relating to our inquiry that we wanted to raise regarding the material fluctuation is automatically included in our understanding. This really is going to help you make sure that you aren't forgetting to ask the client specific questions and that you're not missing anything when you're performing your planning process. Okay. From there, we move to the manual adjustments tab, and this is essentially to help you with your actual ratios where, for example, trade receivables days should only be using credit sales, not cash sales, so it allows you to extract it out and split that out for purposes of performing your ratio analysis. Similarly, for cost of sales, it does the exact same thing. Then we're going to move to the actual ratio analysis tab, and you can see it includes the majority, like all the ratios that you would need, including profitability and leverage ratios. If you hover over the name of the ratio, it also gives you a bit of an understanding of what that ratio is actually doing and what it is measuring. From there, you're able to, based on your judgment, add in what a variance is that you deem to be significant, and you see what you measure it against. You have the option of prior period, budget, industry, and other. Prior period is the only one that will automatically populate the number based on the prior period TB. Budget and industry and other, you would need to then add in your specific amounts. You'll then see that there's an icon on your right that shows that the variance is deemed significant. And again, you can perform an inquiry and go straight through to your understanding. And this will create a procedure underneath your overall analytical review for your preliminary review that specifically inquires about this ratio and the material, the variance that you've deemed significant. So it's really nice to see how it all works together and how you're able to make sure that nothing is ultimately missed in your planning process. And ideas for the analytics to actually inform your risk assessment, not to just be done as an afterthought and done after the fact. We've finished planning, but we've forgotten the PAR, so let's just do it quickly. Okay, so from there, we're going to move on to our inherent risk at assertion level. And basically, I'm going to just take you through how we would raise a risk And this is the more detailed risk assessment that you perform. And you'd perform this for every single risk that you raise. So you'd be required to document your judgments around the risk, and you're able to then select your specific FSA. And for example, like I said to you, like we showed earlier, we split trade receivables out into the separate COT ABDs. So here you can see that it's specifically linked only to that COT ABD. So any risk and any response that is added to that risk in terms of the audit response will be to do the audit work around that COT ABD only, not then the entire FSA as we split it out. So like we said earlier, this is really going to greatly enhance your efficiency, and I think it's really, really great feature, and like I say, most excited about this. From there, we'll move on to the control activities, and I'm going to document a control directly in the engagement file. So in this example, of the control that we're raising is to do with the review and approval of your IFRS 9 calculation. So this directly relates to the risk that we raise now for the valuation of trade receivables. So as I create the control, you can see that I've linked it to the specific risk that we raised, and this automatically then populates the FSA area and the COT ABD area, as well as the assertion that is applicable. So this is also really going to help in terms of not having inconsistencies in your file. For example, this control is for existence, but your risk linked is for valuation, and it's actually not going to give you coverage and audit evidence relating to that. So, yeah, so that's the control. So then we've also got the form that's dedicated for assessing control activities. And you can see in this form, we've selected, for example, that we're going to do non-substantive procedures, or if we're going to say we're going to test operating effectiveness. But at this stage, there wasn't a control that was identified. So automatically, we've got these built-in validation checks that show you that there's an issue here, that you can't just have non-substantive procedures or no tests or controls that you want to test operating effectiveness of, but you have not linked a control to this risk. So again, once an appropriate control has been raised and linked, automatically that issue, that warning will fall away. So again, it's just to help make sure that things are consistent throughout the file, and making sure that all the audit responses are aligned with the risks and controls that we are raising. Okay. So looking ahead, we are busy in development with an analytics hub. And it's one of the areas that we are quite excited about. So it is still in development, but essentially we want to provide a central location where you are able to assess your client's data quite easily. So this allows auditors to analyze large amounts of data. It can be data from the general ledger, from sub-ledgers, but there's very little limitation. So for example, Excel has a limitation of 1.5 million lines. We do not have that in the analytics hub. So in this example, the general ledger that I've got in the file has over 1.6 million lines and works quite well. So basically what this allows us to do, it also has a sampling functionality built into it. So this means you don't need an extra tool to help you sample, and it samples on the data that is directly in your engagement file already. So version 1, we are also going to have an ISA audit. We're also going to include analytics on risk assessment procedures. So it's also another great benefit. So I'm going to show you 3 examples now of the different things that we can do already in Analytics Hub, and we are building a lot of cool procedures within there. So where procedures can be executed via analytics, we would have a work program and you'd have the procedures, and you can see the little icon that if you click on that, that will take you directly through to the Analytics Hub where you can perform your procedures. So as you can see, I've got my 3 procedures that I'm going to talk you through and take you through. And these are what are now sitting directly in our Analytics Hub, and it's reading directly off the general ledger or sub-ledgers within that file. So first test is the high value entry test. And for this, we are utilizing our performance materiality. So you can see at the top is materiality, and that is automatically, it's included here as your high value entry. And that can be any amount that you, based on your judgment, deem to be material. And this will then identify anything within that population. So our data set is specifically pulling from the general ledger.
So any items within that general ledger population that are above materiality, it'll automatically highlight, and then we know that that is where we need to go and get more information and assess that those items more closely. The next test is the out of balance test. So again, it's within the general ledger, and you put in your parameters and run the results, and it's really quick to pull your different journal entries that it says are ultimately unbalanced. So this could highlight where there are data integrity issues, out of balance actual journals that have been processed. And in this case, there are 14 entries that have been identified, and you would then, as the auditor, need to go and assess these further. And the final one is the integrated sampling tool. So this is built in directly into the engagement file, like I said, and you can choose your sampling method, be random, monetary unit sampling, add in your confidence level and your tolerable error level, and you can run your sample. And you can see it's now given us a sample of 15 items that have been flagged, and this is based on our parameters that we included. You are able to download at the top, so it downloads onto an Excel spreadsheet, and you can export it, and you've got your sample ready to go. Okay, then Verity. So Verity is, like we've already heard about it a couple times today, and we call it our central intelligence layer. So this, like we said, is available across all the cloud products already. And what we're going to showcase today in our individual sessions are an example or two of what you can already do. And then Mo is going to take us through where we are heading next. Okay, so Verity has information within your engagement, the whole engagement. So I'm going to show you a practical example. We've asked it to compare the current and prior year trial balance for any differences and fluctuations more than 50% of materiality. So instead of manually going and assessing accounts line by line, this really is a quick way to get it to help you have an overall look at the information so that you can easily identify areas that you probably would need to focus on a little bit more. So, I mean, as you can see, it's really quick. It's pulled up now a list of all the different accounts, given me, or FSAs rather, given me a percentage movement on them, which I can then help to use to help me perform my risk assessment. Okay, so from there, I'm also going to then ask Verity to have a look at those results alongside what risks have already been raised in the file, and then state that, okay, help me find risks that I possibly haven't actually included as yet. And again, it's going to look and say, okay, what is in the file based on the movement, the values of the balances, what are we missing? And then it works through everything in terms of high priority. It's going to work through, you'll see now, medium priority as well as low priority. So again, it's helping you focus your audit effort where it needs to be most. And I think it even it's going to give us it'll give us a nice summary table that can see ultimately what risks are we missing, what risks need to be raised on the file, and you can make sure that everything that does need to be on the file is then on the file. But just very important to note that Verity does not replace your professional judgment. Verity is just a tool that is helping you identify issues and identify areas that need more focus, and that's what it is helping us do. So I think it's a very cool thing. This is like we say, very, very small, like 2 examples. There are a number of examples and they are endless. You can even ask for, a partner could ask for what are unsigned procedures within the forms, and it can go and read the forms and say, these procedures aren't signed off yet. So for completeness checks, that's amazing as well. Okay. So what next? So basically we are, like I said, we are currently busy in development. These are the main things that we have developed so far. Like we said, it's very focused on planning so far. And we are now over the next few months going to be working on these categories in terms of risk responses, audit procedures, and just overall completing our product so that we can get it to you as soon as possible. And like we said, next year is our release. We are targeting a release for that. And just to also let you know that the methodology behind ISO audits is not just being developed by us as a product team. We have what we call a CO forum. There are content owner forum. and they are technical experts as well as people in professional practice. So it's very, my brain's gone, sorry. It's very focused, and it has all the expert information and expert backing behind it in terms of compliance. So very excited again, and I hope you guys are excited that there's finally an audit product coming to the cloud, and really hope that you can see all the benefits it's going to have and how it's going to help you improve your audits and your efficiency within your audit firms.
So I will be your host, Carla van Niekerk. I'm the product owner for assurance and related services. Within my portfolio, I have ISRS agreed upon, ISAE attestation, ISRS compilation, and also SQM, which is not part of this product solution, but it's part of my portfolio. So in this session, I'll first talk about client inquiries. So client inquiries is our secure client collaboration app. In simple terms, it gives your team one controlled place to request information, collect documents, track responses, and communicate with clients, instead of managing everything through scattered emails and spreadsheets. Because it runs on Caseware Cloud, it is available anywhere at any time and at any location, which is especially useful for clients that works beyond office hours. It is also licensed per engagement, so as your company grows, you can grow too with this app. So first off, I wanted to just talk about what it matters to your firm. So you will have reduced follow-ups. You will have clearer visibility, request visibility, so you'll see all the statuses of your requests. Then you'll have workflow efficiency, so you'll have a guided workflow taking you through your selections, through the queries, and then getting those responses within your Caseware working papers file. And then lastly, again, centralized communication, so it's all in one place. So I know you guys have heard a lot about Verity. I know it jumped a little bit now, but in Verity, I wanted to know, what do I do now? I've opened up the client inquiry. So in there, I put in a response saying, I have just onboarded a client. What question should I answer first, and what will it unlock? You'll see in Verity, it will first of all say that you need to do the acceptance for the disclaimer, and then after that, answer questions like the engagement type, what is it, a new or recurring engagement, and then after that, you'll have questions in terms of what queries you want to ask. As you can see, we can just scroll a little bit down to see your engagement workflow. Then on to planning and performing. So in the planning part, if you scroll down in document 101, you'll see that there's questions regarding planning, whether you want to ask questions to those charged with governance, understanding the information technology environment and the control environment. And as I answer these questions, you'll see there's already pre-populated queries that's popping up. Next up will be the more exciting part, is the FSAs. So if I go and select the FSAs that is applicable, we also have pre-populated PBC documents that you can go and select, which will go into your query documents as a request to your clients. We'll just wait. You also have the ability to ask for accounting estimates as well as presentation and disclosure for those FSAs that you have requested for. Just going to click once. Okay, so now that I've opened up the query, I have selected PPE, investment property, biological assets, and intangible assets. And those PPC documents that I've selected will now be in the request for the query that you can send to your client. Now, if I click send, you can then add a due date, also add a client, and then an email body. When you click OK, you'll see at the bottom there would be a notification to say that it has been sent, and at the top you'll see a waiting response. Just click once. Okay, so now if we go into the inquiries, this is the firm view. In the firm view, you will see that it has been sent and my client is at the top inside the engagement. Oh, sorry. Yeah, so okay. So now the client has responded and I can then return it, or I can accept the response. And then when I go back to the client, you'll see that it has been returned. And they can remove the documents. They previously attached documents, but they can remove the document and reattach a new document and submit this response again. Now I will have the return function and the accept function again, and I've accepted that I am happy with the document they have attached. Now if I look onto the next query question, you'll see that the accepted one has been filtered out. So if you click on the filter again, you'll see the accepted question, and if you take it away, you won't see it. And now the client can add more than one document. So there's one document, and then we've added 2 more. If there's anything else that you don't want in there, you can remove it and then submit the response as well. The client can then also mark all as responded as and when they are completed with their query. And when you go back to the client view, you'll see that it has been responded. After you've reviewed this, you can then click on complete, and that will close the query. When we then go back to the documents page, you'll see that the 3 documents that we've attached is in the document page, and this document can also be saved to the cloud. So if you click on the 3 dots, click on Save to Cloud, it will save it on the cloud. And then if you navigate to your entity, so you can click at the top on your engagement file name, click on Entity, and when it loads with the internet, you navigate to Files, and you'll see that the file that we just saved is on your Caseware Cloud. Now we can go on to Caseware Working Papers integration, and this is the most exciting part. So when you're in an engagement file and it is online, you can then in the cloud ribbon click on Open. Here you will select your application as well as the file. You can create a new file from here as well, but I have an existing one. Click on OK, and then you'll see that the client inquiries file is on the right hand side. You'll see all the documents that was uploaded is there, and then if you click on Receive, those documents will populate in the client inquiries received folder within your Caseware Working Papers file. You can also see the statuses within Caseware Working Papers for all queries related to this engagement. So you can click on Status, and then on the right hand side you'll see the statuses of the queries. Okay, so next up is ISAE attestation. So ISAE attestation is our cloud-based app for streamlined legal practitioner and property practitioner assurance trust engagements. It helps auditors gather appropriate evidence for the compliance reporting of the Legal Practice Council and the Property Practitioners Regulatory Authority. In practical terms, it guides the team through full engagement process from the engagement letter and risk assessments to work programs, the letter of representation, and final report for submission. So what value does this bring to your firm? First, efficiency. So it streamlines the audit process, like I said, from the acceptance part up until the reporting part. Then it supports compliance. It's flexible, so it allows you to work across many locations on different devices. And it also has security, so it protects the data, which is especially important for legal practitioners and property practitioners. So the workflow is designed around the major phases of attestation engagement, and I want to show you the engagement types and the service activities that we support in these apps, or some of them. So within attestation, we have 2 profiles. So we have the legal practitioner and the property practitioner profiles. Then within document 141, gathering information, because I've selected legal practitioner, you'll see that there's the service activity, so you can select amongst the investments, conveyancing, debt collection, and so forth. We will also have different ones for the property practitioner. And you'll also see the query that has already been completed, a response has come through at the bottom of investment activity to tell you that there's no investment activity. So you can use that to answer the question in terms of investment activity. Then in terms of Verity and ISE attestation, so I skipped through the previous one a bit quickly, but we use Verity here as well. So what I did with Verity is I already completed acceptance. So now I want to know if there's any red flags. So in Verity, my question was, within the acceptance phase, I want to know if there's any red flags. Review the engagement evaluation document 111. Are there any red flags from the client's acceptance process? And after it completed, it identified that there's a red flag in terms of the competence of the engagement team. It also identified that there is some questions that we need to follow up on the quality management. And then there was also no red flags with the first engagement, the independence, and so forth. And then if you scroll a little bit down, you'll see that there's some risky areas. So the high risk area is the engagement team competence. And then onto performing. So for performing, we have work programs. So there's standard ones for accounting records as well as transactions and balances. And then I selected conveyancing. So there's a working paper for conveyancing. If I go into cash count work program, you'll see that there's responses already made, but there's no exceptions, and not completed. You can also sign this document off, and then it will reflect that it has been signed off or prepared. Then onto the Excel working paper. So we, in each and every service activity area, we also have an Excel working paper, and this also has Cloud Connector. We have a standard template. So here you can see objective, procedures performed, and some examples, and you can also do your sample within this Excel. This can also be linked inside your file as well. And then one of the most exciting features, I think, for attestation, and this is more for the managers and the engagement partners, is the law summaries. So we built this feature in the last year. So at the top, you'll see a guidance that explains what it does, but it's basically a document for managers in engagement partners that gives you an overall view of compliance, that looks at the relevant procedures, that addresses specific risks for laws, the Legal Practice Act, as well as the Legal Practice Council rules. You'll see that these questions either come up when there's exceptions or it has not been completed. And now if we scroll to the bottom, you'll see that the conclusions for each and every work program also comes through. And we've said for all of them, no, that there is no non-compliance. But the red warning shows that you've said that there's no non-compliance, but there is procedures above that says there's exceptions or not completed. And within those procedures, there's a link that will take you to the exact procedure to show you where it has been documented, so that you can see if the engagement team has documented anything about why it's not been completed. And then lastly, ISRS agreed upon. This is our cloud app for agreed upon procedures. And it's performed under ISRS 4400. If you're not familiar with the standard, these are the engagements where you agree specific procedures with the client and report on factual findings. No opinion, just clearly agreed upon procedures and clearly reported results. The app guides your team through agreeing the terms of the engagement, documenting the procedures, and completing the agreed upon procedures report. The key efficiency point here is you only have to document the procedures once, and it will go throughout the application. So what value does this bring? So there's enhanced efficiency. So again, we have a streamlined process. You only have to enter information once. Then we have regulatory alignment. So it is built on ISRS 4400 revised. We also have scalability. So in here we have 4 different profiles, and the one profile allows you to do up to 100 procedures, which we will change in future so that it might have more, but for now it's just 100 procedures. And then lastly, client satisfaction. So it delivers a clear, concise, and professional report in terms of agreed upon procedures. So in the accepting phase, if I take you through it, if you open up document 101, accept the disclaimers, you'll be able to see that we have 4 types. So we have property practitioner, legal practitioner in conjunction with ISAE attestation, institutional investors, and other. So legal practitioner, property practitioner, and institutional investors has predefined tailorable content that you can go and edit, but this is in line with what is required from the regulatory bodies. Then we have for specifically institutional investors in document 111. We also have the options to select which type of institutional investor. So we have pension fund, life insurer, discretionary financial services, and CIS managers. And now if we go to document 112, this is where we go and agree the procedure. So you'll see that there's already predefined content, and we also have two different types of procedures here. So we have the inquiry procedure and the other procedure. Inquiry procedure will go to the query, similar to client inquiries, we'll create a query, and the other procedure will go to the work program. All of these procedures will then go into the engagement letter to go and agree with your client. So if you scroll a little bit down, you'll see that the procedures are there. Then in terms of Verity for ISRS agreed upon, so now that we've created these procedures, we can't just send these procedures in a query to the client because the client won't understand what that means. So if you need a quarterly asset report, you can't just say obtain the quarterly asset report. You want to go and say, please send me the quarterly asset report for the client. So what we do in agreed upon is we have a document 200 where we formulate these inquiries. So we have selected the inquiry procedures, and now in these manual boxes we need to go and say, well, formulate the questions. So what we did in Verity is we just said go and formulate query questions for us so that we can put this into the query and answer the client answer the questions. So it has generated the 5 query questions for me. You can review them. I'll just wait for it to go a little bit down. And that is more posed towards the client. And now that I have added these questions into the text boxes, it also added a few notes. So question 1.1 said that we needed to insert the date. The date is already there. In question 5, we needed to select whether it's audit or reviewed. So we can just go and make that amendment. And now we can go to the query. And because it's already in those text fields, it will automatically update on the query side. But I think you've seen queries so many times today already. And then lastly, the agreed upon procedures report. So after you have done the work in the work program as well, you can go to the agreed upon procedures report. And the procedures from document 112 will come into the left-hand column, and the findings in your work program will come to the right-hand column. Now you can just do the placeholders and it's ready for signature. Thank you very much for your time. I appreciate it. We are done with 3 products in, I think that was 20 minutes, hopefully. Next up is the AI platform in Cinema 7. And in Cinema 2 here, we'll do the workflow that you didn't know you needed.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm so glad and excited that I get to show you the entire Caseware AI platform. I think it's been a journey. One of the most important key takeaways I think that you should know is that we really strive to keep you at the forefront of any technological change that could help and better you. So to that end, obviously we did IDA, Validate, Extractly, and now we did Verity and Verity agents. But the pace of change, I can't emphasize, I have never seen this type of technology change before. And I've seen it really improve the development space. And to give you a practical example, we've redone all the HTMLs in all the desktop products with the help of AI. For one release. That type of efficiency and was unheard of, or you couldn't even fathom that type of pace when it came to development a few years ago. And now what we're seeing is AI is really evolving and expanding into other areas. And that's what really excites us, because the 10x development speed gains that we're seeing, it's finally going to come to you guys in the audit and accounting space. So before we get into the actual demos, I do want to just cover a couple of key things that everybody needs to be cognizant of, especially when it comes to adopting AI. I think from a risk mitigation point of view, the Caseware Cloud platform gets independently audited every year. That's why we have the SOC 2 Type 2 certification. And it's one of the highest security certifications that you can get. And it essentially means that we keep your data safe according to industry best practice. And we relentlessly pursue that. Another certification that we do have is the ISO IEC certification. That basically means that we build solutions with data security top of mind. So we don't treat we treat data security as a first-class citizen when it comes to anything that we build. And I think the point that I'm trying to raise is that there's a lot more bad actors. So just as easily as you could get more efficient using AI, the bad actors in the space are using AI to try and get that data away from you and cause breaches. So it's very important to understand that we try as best as possible to keep your data safe. Another important thing to note is that it's so easy to contravene POPIA in this age of AI. Often I see it where firms don't have adopted, where they haven't adopted an AI solution. Clerks take sensitive information and put it into a free ChatGPT tool or Gemini. And immediately, just by doing that, you're in contravention of the POPIA Act, because regardless of the size of the breach, it still becomes a reportable irregularity to the POPIA Commission. And I think the other important point from a risk mitigating point of view is that we want to make sure that we don't train on your data. And it's very cliche when we say it, but the real risk that we run in the audit and accounting space is that other AI companies could gobble up and take away the entire ecosystem by building the audit and accounting models. So we make sure that we keep you all relevant and in this space. So there's a lot of risks to consider when it comes to AI. The important thing that we always strive for is to unlock efficiencies for you. And whenever we look at AI solutions, we ask ourselves, are our users going to be more productive, and is the level of quality going to increase? And this is where AI is, where we're at the forefront of AI at this moment in time, I believe. So I'm going to refer to classical AI solutions, which is the very famous solutions that you're all familiar with. And now we're evolving into embedded AI solutions. And that's where Verity comes in. Where it really unlocks the massive productivity gains is when you have AI unleashed where your data already sits and where your users already are. And you really see it when you look at, or when I take you through this next chart. It's very easy for one person to get faster using a classical AI tool. And you will see some gains, without a doubt. But to move the entire firm forward, you really need an embedded solution. Because ultimately what happens is one person gets faster through a lot of learning. Whereas with an embedded, say, AI solution, the moment one person asks a question and gets a bad response, that fix is then applied to the entire system. So the next time somebody asks a question, they will not get that bad response. So it automatically improves it for everybody. So this is where you start doing things at scale. The other hiccups that you do get when you use a classical AI solution is that you have to actually go through a data processing agreement and security review every time you want to move to a new model. which obviously we take care of for you. And I think it's very time consuming and becomes a maintenance overhead. And we really want to put you in a position where you all can just concentrate on getting the work out and billing. We don't, and we like to think that we want to bring you the solution that you'll just use without a lot of learning. For example, we've learned that when you use a lot of your context window, and you start asking the AI questions, it's more likely to hallucinate. Whereas we build those types of redundancies into the harness so that you don't have to worry about those types of things. So I think embedded AI is definitely the turning point where it unlocks those massive productivity gains. The important thing that I think you should always consider is all the risks which I've been through and how much of an efficiency you want to unleash in your organization. And I believe that it's through embedded AI. Okay, with that, I think I'm going to move into the actual demos of the software. And then I'm going to take you through, first I'm going to take you through Caseware Extractly and Validate. Then we're going to dive a little bit into the differences between IDA, Verity, and Verity agents. But let's start here. So on Caseware Extractly, this is the tool that really helps you in the audit process. Ideally, you'd be using Caseware Idea to select samples. You'd then take those samples and request it from your clients using either client inquiries or queries, which are built into our assurance apps. And then that data would come back to you. You'd then take that data and Extractly will unpack it for you, and it'll start doing all the relevant checks, like is it within the date period, does it cast correctly, etc. So with that, I'm just going to play a quick video on Extractly.
Key audit evidence lives in scanned documents with no structure. PDFs are made for reading, not reconciling. Vouching is usually done by junior staff, but it's hard to delegate well. It takes oversight, slows down seniors, and potentially risks audit quality and consistency. Introducing Caseware Extractly, a built-in Excel solution for smarter audit testing and faster verification with cloud storage, so your first years can work like your third years. It's simple to get started. Download Extractly and launch it from the ribbon, right inside your substantive testing working papers in Excel. Upload your source documents, like invoices and bank statements in bulk. Extractly keeps everything organized and easily accessible. Matching is easy. Extractly automatically extracts fields like invoice numbers, dates and amounts from the source documents, to testing details in Excel in the sequence of your choice, eliminating any manual rekeying while reconciling. Click any extracted value in Excel to instantly highlight its source in the document, saving hours of toggling and searching across hundreds of files during audit testing. With Extractly, your source documents are processed and stored in the cloud, so your Excel files stay light, your testing stays fast, and your data stays secure. Extractly makes it easy to flag discrepancies by marking any mismatches as exceptions directly within the PDF. Adding and tracking comments helps reviewers quickly identify where testing results diverge. Highlight totals in the PDF and verify calculations instantly. No calculator needed. Extractly doesn't only extract text and numbers, but also structured tables, instantly detecting and converting them into clean, audit-ready formats, especially useful for documents with messy layouts, like bank statements. Vouching documents with the same layout? Save time with automated extraction templates. Set key fields once, save the template, and reuse it across documents like invoices and payslips. With Extractly, your first years work like third years. Smarter testing, faster reviews, and audit quality you can trust.
Excellent. So that's Extractly. And it really automates the repetitive tasks. And we really want to make you as fast as possible. And similarly, in terms of automating the repetitive tasks, we've got Caseware Validate. So Caseware Validate is a solution where you will upload your financial statements, so it helps you review your financial statements. Quick two things off the top of my mind that it does really well is that it ensures that your prior year figures in your current set of financials ties up with the signed financial statements of the prior year. Quick and easy check, but does take time. So repetitive task automated. Another thing that it does quite well is the recasting and ensuring that the note ties up to the statement. So these are repetitive tasks that really AI can be used to make you much faster. So with that, I'm going to play the video on Validate.
Financial statements are becoming more complex and time-consuming to review. Manual checks slow teams down and increase the risk of errors. Valuable time is wasted recalculating and rechecking statements when they should be focused on narrative and analysis. Introducing Caseware Validate, an AI-powered financial statement review solution that automates accuracy checks as you work from draft to final version. Getting started is easy. Upload or drag and drop your financial statements into Validate. No setup, no templates. Validate's AI automatically recognizes prior year versions and subsequent versions. Validate's AI capabilities runs thousands of pre-built checks. Mathematical accuracy, internal and prior period consistency, version comparison, multi-entity, and spell check. Cast and cross-check figures and references between statements and notes to catch mismatches. Validate summary of findings flags figures and narrative inconsistencies using smart color-coded indicators to prioritize critical issues first. Built-in filtering tools ensure nothing gets missed, so you can focus your review where it matters most. Because Validate runs in the cloud, there is no Excel lag and no performance slowdowns, even with large reports. Validate tracks changes across multiple versions while carrying forward prior reviews and references. When you're ready, Validate makes life easier with smart PDF exports, providing clear markups, summarized findings, and quick links to identified errors and queries. Say goodbye to slow, error-prone financial reviews. Validate automates accuracy checks, eliminates reporting risk, and frees your team to focus on high-value work. Discover the future of financial statement reviews. Schedule a demo today.
So that's Validate and Extractly. So that was really the repeatable tasks that get automated through AI. I think now I really want to help you all understand the differences between IDA, Verity, and Verity agents. So I think we're going to start with IDA and Verity. And the best way for me to illustrate the difference is by showing you a practical example. So on screen next, you're going to see the same question asked to IDA versus Verity. So the question is, what are the key risks I should be focused on right now? And if you look at the IDA's response, it's correct, but it is quite general. You as an auditor still have to do the heavy of going and finding the information. And that's the piece that Verity solves. So how IDA fundamentally or technically is different from, or how Verity is different from IDA from a technical point of view, is that we've now given it read access to all the data in your engagement. So when it is answering a question, it can bring that information into the answer. So now that already is a massive step forward. And I think we did a very simple thing with Verity agents, is we took that same read capability and we gave it to the agent, but additionally we gave it write capability. So the ability for it to make changes on your behalf. But obviously when we gave it to ask it to make changes, we added the human in the loop. So whenever it makes a change, it just suggests it, and you have the ability to accept, reject, or edit it. And it keeps an audit trail of everything that it does. So fundamentally, it's basically the evolution of AI. So IDA was our initial attempt, and it had context, but it had context of whatever document you are in. Verity then took the context from the entire file by us giving it read tools. And Verity Agents takes the Verity concept of just getting read tools, but additionally we give it write tools. So it can suggest changes and you just have to review. And this is where you get into the space where you increase productivity and increase quality. And you can do it at a firm level in one go. So, and now for probably the most anticipated part of the demos in this session, we want to show you the disclosure checklist agent. So I think what you'll notice, just going to try that again. Okay, so the video is not playing. Go move one back. Yeah, I think it's trying. Ugh, I'm getting a cannot play media. Okay. Ultimately, I can talk you through it. What you should see on screen is a disclosure checklist agent. Basically, when you click on the verify button, you've got a selection that you can make for disclosure checklist agent. And it asks, you've obviously got a disclosure checklist with about 500 odd questions. You basically tell it, I want to answer this disclosure checklist against this set of financial statements, and you upload the financial statements. It then goes through a process of looking at the financial statements, looking at the question, and ultimately you end up in a position where it suggests answers for you. So for every question, for example, on screen, you get the yes, not applicable, or no. It's in this example suggesting yes to question 3, and it says it's a pending suggestion. Couple key things to note is that when it does give you an answer and the reason for that answer, it then it links you or directs you to where in the set of financial statements it found the answer to that question. And that's the part that's highlighted in green on the statement. So with everything that it does, it makes it as easy for you to review and give you the right result. And this is where you see the big efficiency gains. So that was disclosure checklist agent. Similarly, with the right tools, we said, why don't we do a risk assessment agent where it can understand the risks, where it can suggest the risks that you need to add to the file. And you see it. So this is the risk assessment agent at work. You can give it more context by asking it or giving it additional information. For in this instance, we're giving it the board minutes. You can also upload additional documents, and then it starts analyzing. And what it does is it quickly understands everything in the file, and it suggests these risks, and then it gives you the reasons of why it thinks it's a risk, and gives you the ability to approve or reject the risk. So this is the fundamental way in which we see you working in the future. Your job really becomes the role of a reviewer. You have to apply your professional judgment more and more. There's a lot of reading involved, don't get me wrong, but the job does get faster and the quality does definitely increase. So raising risks and making sure they're the right risks really starts becoming a very simple process in your firms. Ultimately, all you have to do is accept the risks, and then you have your audit trail in your file. So with that, I think I just want to bring you back to the timeline. Agents are the way of the future. We see it as the tool or the mechanism that's really going to increase the quality and the productivity in your organization. And the pace of change is really fast. And we'll always be at the forefront with you guys. Thank you.
One of the problems that every accountant will say is getting the information out of the client to be able to do your job is the hardest thing. So Dext is brilliant because it just enables us to be able to just capture that information in real time. My name's Alistair Wallace. I'm the founder of BKB Accountants down in Poole in Dorset. As an estimate, I would say that Dext has probably saved us about 25% of the time on jobs that we were doing before. One example is probably our newest recruit, Nadia. For the first month, she had to do all carrier bag jobs. We knew that they would teach her the basics of bookkeeping. And then after a month, we released her onto Dext.
It's unbelievably easy to use and it saves you so much time.
And the look on her face was just smile from ear to ear, saying, oh, I haven't got to do that horrible manual bookkeeping anymore. I think Dext has reduced the stress levels of the staff, being able to get straight on to doing jobs, bookkeeping jobs, not having to wait for the clients to come in, not having to wait till the VAT quarter ends.
The fact that, I can see what's done with what the AI assist agent has done as well, and I can see where it's, kind of corrected me in a way and I've corrected it in a way. So it's not my assistant, but it's my teammate in a way. I think Dext AI Assist will really help me just save a lot of time and a lot of energy because the human brain isn't designed to, upload and post and reconcile 300 invoices in the span of a day. But Dext, gets it done.
Dext has definitely allowed us to scale up our business. We've taken on more bookkeepers, we've taken on more clients. So with the time that I've saved using Dext, it's enabled me to spend more time on my bike in the big outside world and take on new challenges as well. It's a very easy to use system, it's a very cheap system, it's a very credible system, it's an accurate system, it does the job, get on and use it.
If I had more time, I would definitely be spending those hours with my children. My name is Ariona. I'm the Managing Director of Majors Accounts, which is a small family-based accountancy practice based in South East London. Dext has been key in our digital transformation. We could not have grown or transformed our business as quickly as we did if we didn't have Dext in place. It just has made a huge difference to our business and the efficiency of how we work. Some of the factors that we look for when choosing software for our clients that will be on MTD ITSA are, I think ease of use is probably the main one, and that's what Dext Solo has, and our clients have found it super easy to get on the app, either take pictures, email things in, and just have everything in one place. My favourite feature in Dext is the auto-publish functionality. We could not live without it. We have thousands and thousands of receipts and documents coming into the system on a monthly basis, and having someone to go through and manually go through each one would take absolutely forever. But with auto-publish rule, it means that our team are not focusing or wasting their time doing the same thing over and over again. They can focus their time on looking at accuracy and maybe speaking to a client, finding out what else could be missing. So it's just restructuring what they're doing to something that is much more value added for our customers. Dext has allowed us to be able to reallocate our time in what we're doing, how we're working with our clients, to really focus on what's important to our clients and building those relationships so then we can understand what they would like to achieve, whether it is an extra holiday with their family or a dream home or whatever their personal goals might be, to help focus our time with them in those areas, which for them is so much more important than, these are the receipts I have, let's see how quickly I can copy them out of a receipt manually. So it's just being able to really focus on building those relationships and those foundations and make a real difference to our clients. Dex doesn't just save me time, it saves my clients time.
We've got a small room today, but you're just as important. Thank you so much for joining us for this last session. I promise, I know it's between me and traffic now, and I won't take long. But my name is Celine Dilembaza. I'm the sales manager for the small and medium practices in South Africa and the rest of Africa. And today we are excited. In fact, this whole day when we've been celebrating CwX and some of the products that we have, the new ones that we're introducing, all of it is all about you and how you can shape your career, you can shape the business that you're in terms of where we're going in the future. And just recently, we've partnered with Dext as Adapt IT, and it's one of our most exciting partnerships that we've done recently because it's really talking to the heart of why we're in business in accounting, is to build relationships with our clients and not necessarily be stuck in the manual work. And so hopefully I'll be able to tell you more about that. Just a show of hands, have you heard of Dext before? No. First time. Then it's an opportunity. I'm very excited. So in the last couple of years, let's say the last 30 years, Adapt IT has been really focusing on software that can make lives easier. And obviously we're in the finance profession. And so we've been doing audit and accounting. And that means that we're right at the end of the accounting journey. But if we had to take it to the beginning, in the transactions and the general ledger that you have to do, those are the things that take up the most time before you even partner with any accounting package. You want to save time right at the beginning before you go on the journey of actually doing the statements for any of the clients that you're working with. And so this is exciting that then we're going back to basics. We're going right to the beginning. And what's beautiful about Dext is that it's been in existence for a couple of years now. Currently, globally, it's serving 700,000 clients, which means that it is an industry leader, which we're so proud to partner with. It's got over 12,000 partners, Adapt IT now becoming one of those partners, and so meaning that we're a reseller here in South Africa and the rest of Africa. And we're very excited in terms of just how much it is well rated in terms of all of the apps that it's situated in. It's been rated as the #1 automation bookkeeping tool, which means that we're bringing something that has quality. It's nice to know that you can trust some of the tools, but it's not about selling this product. It's about understanding how it can help you in the work that you're currently doing. So just to give you some of the facts about Dext, it is the #1 unified bookkeeping and automation software globally, and it is 3 times larger than its biggest competitor, which means that it is a giant in the bookkeeping and automation field. It really allows our clients to scale. So like I said, it's all about saving you time from actually getting a receipt or an invoice from a client or a supplier document and typing it out and, having room for error. All you're doing here is capturing it, and the AI does the extraction, and then it's simple for you to then take that information into your accounting package, which makes it a very scalable product for your business and for your clients as well. And then we talk about 99% uptime, meaning that it's really quick. As you're scanning whatever document you're wanting to scan, it really scans in a really quick time, and it ensures that whatever it's scanning there, it's accurate, because you want to trust. You don't want to always double check. You want to trust that it will actually produce what you've actually taken. AI leadership for the past 10 years, it's been developing its AI models, even though in South Africa it's only now booming in the last year or year and a half, but they've been working diligently to make sure that the AI in this tool is working faster than the accountant can ever work, which means that we're ahead of the curve when it comes to AI. Instead of using ChatGPT or any other tool, we are saying this is a safe and really a good tool for your clients to trust. And then it's highly rated. So these are the couple of apps that we're currently rated on, 4.5 and up to 5 in terms of stars. So if we have to look at what you're currently experiencing today, do you guys do any bookkeeping in your work, or are you only doing auditing or financial reporting? Is it? So you've done a bit of those manual capturing. Wow. And yourself? You're still new. Okay, then you're starting off well. So probably what you've experienced is receiving some of those documents either at month end, quarter end, or year end, and then you have to capture them and put them into the accounting package before you're able to get the general ledger out into your trial balance, etc. So in this way, you're not really having real-time visibility of what's happening in the business. You're only seeing it when you actually receive those documents once a year or once a quarter. And so what we're trying to eliminate is you not having visibility and you being actually active and being advisory to your client so that you're able to actually make value for your clients. So when you're now starting to use DEX, it means that you're actually now becoming a little bit more efficient, meaning you're not only receiving documents only once a month, you can receive them every day. As they're doing those transactions, all they're doing is capturing. And as they capture, it comes directly into your workflow, which means that you're receiving things as they happen. And that gives you so much more power as an accountant, right? When you're seeing things happen, if you can see things going in the wrong direction, you're able to play a bigger role in that business in its growth as well. And so that is what we're trying to introduce with DEX. But that's not the only thing that you can benefit from. Once you also then link DEX with any other accounting package that you might be using, for an example, you might be using QuickBooks, Sage, Xero, any of those accounting packages that you usually do to then get your trial balance, you can connect to those. So meaning that it will speak directly to those accounting packages and you have that information immediately. Their bank statement, the matching of the bank statement with the documents that you're receiving, it's happening in the background using AI, which means that you can just focus on advisory, analytics, actually, doing the things that you studied for versus actually just being stuck in the manual capturing. So that's what we're trying to achieve with this product. And so here it is. On the left-hand side, you've got all of the small businesses that are trying to thrive. They're receiving all of these different documents, your invoices, your expense receipts, your bank statements, and they come maybe to your email inbox. Instead of them being stuck in your inbox and you having to action it by opening it, saving it on your computer before you're able to take it to wherever, this means that it sends it directly into the DEX system, and all you now do is just review to make sure that it's 100% correct. So it's cutting out quite a lot of human error or human activity by just using this one system. And so as you can see also here, it's also showing us that once you've captured whatever document it is, it will extract 19 different data fields, whether it's the date, the currency that it's using, the tax that it's using, whatever is on that document, it's going to extract it and put it into the system, and you will double check that it's correct, which it is 100% or 99.9% correct. And that is the data that you'll be able to use in any of the accounting packages that you can see on the right-hand side. So as I was saying, they are leading in AI innovations. Like for an example, they've been working on advancing the vault, where you can add all of the different documents that maybe your company needs to review. Let's say you've got leases or you've got contracts that annually you have to review. So if you add those documents into the system, it will remind you as well in terms of in 3 months you're needing to actually sign that contract again. So it can also be a tool for any other thing that is happening in the business, and you can have it all in one system, helping you and reminding you to not forget. Bookkeeper Autopilot, it uses AI assistants, to be able to analyze and ask it questions. There's payment automations that you can actually set up on the system. And so all of these things are beautiful things that you can add on into the DEX platform. And so what you can see now on the screen is what you would see if you had to now log into the system. Let's say now you've purchased DEX and you've logged into your current particular system. And what you can see here is the overview, or basically the dashboard of this particular client. Let's say we're on demo clients and now we're wanting to do their activities or review some of their transactions. And as you can see, it's boxed under costs, sales, expense claims. All of it automatically is put in there because it reads the document as it comes into the system. Now, if we had to look at the cost section, and so this is just an example of what it would look like if we had to add a document like an invoice. It would come into this cost inbox, and it will also show you whether it's an expense claim or a supplier document. It will automatically put it in there. It will follow this kind of workflow throughout all of the documents you add. It will get into the inbox. It will automatically process or analyze what's in there, and then it will sit in the to review tab. Once it's in the to review tab, as you can see here, these are some of the data fields that it's been able to extract from the document, the user, the date, the supplier name, what category this is falling under. It automatically does that, and you don't have to actually tell the system to do that. You can see there the total. It shows you the currency. Even if you use USD, it will be able to detect it and its appropriate tax rate as well. Then if we had to also now add the document, how you do it, there's so many different ways you can do it. If you're using the computer like we are here, then you would be using this kind of a view where you can select a file, you can drag and drop it in there. But this is not the only way that you can also do it. You can download the app on the App Store and be able to capture it right on there, and it will follow the similar workflow. Or you can actually WhatsApp the Dext number, and it goes into the same workflow. Or you can email the specific Dext email, and it goes into the workflow. So it makes it just so much easier to be able to receive documents, and it makes your client's life easier as well, because they don't always have to depend on email. So as you can see, we uploaded that document, which is this Amazon invoice. So that's what it looks like on the left. We just uploaded it from the computer. And as you can see on the right-hand side, it automatically then pulls that data. What's nice is, as you can see in the yellow box, it's showing you there that we have to review the duplicate items. So meaning if you make a mistake and you actually snap twice at a receipt, it will show you that, hey, we've seen this before. What should we do with it? Should we delete it automatically, or is there a purpose as to why you actually duplicated it? So it will ask you, but you can also set it up in the settings if you know that if there is a mistake in a duplicate, just automatically delete it. So you can actually set that up in settings for yourself. Then when you look at the category, so it scanned this invoice and it showed us that it's general merchandise, but you can also change it. If you as an accounting practice determine it as something else, then you can change it, and it will remember it for this particular client, that when we receive a document like this, it will classify it as that. And now it's using that AI technology. You can toggle whether it's paid or not, and it will show you from the bank statements that, okay, we've actually received this, and it will automatically show you that this is a paid invoice. So that is nice because it's happening all in the background. Then the sales is this exactly the same workflow as the costs. And then also you've got this bank section where you can upload all of the bank statements, and it will automatically show you and match some of the documents that you're receiving. So if there's something that's been paid, we can detect it on this bank statement, then it will automatically pull there, and already you've received the document. You see how it will make your life so much easier. And it will match it as well. And if you click there on that view item, it will take you to the document that it's received if you're wanting to see or match it. So automatically you can now open the document. There it will be linked to that line item in the bank statement. Did you see it there? So it just makes life so much easier. Then the last thing we're going to look at is the vault that I spoke about. So this is now not documents that you're necessarily receiving from your clients, but these are important documents that are important for you to remember, or there's actions behind it. You can put security to say only so and so can access it, but this is nice because it flags you. Here it was a proposal, and it's showing us that it's going to be due in 27 days time, and we need to be able to action it. So if you click on it, you can see the actual contract on the left hand side, and it gives you a quick summary on the right hand side and exactly what's in that document, so that you don't actually have to go and read everything, but it's there for you to be able to just quickly understand what it was all about. Then if we go into the profile settings, this is where you'd now set up your client's profile, their logo, any of, their registration details, their address, all of the things that are necessary for this profile to have. And then when you look at connections, and this is where the automation becomes excellent. Now this is where all the accounting packages are, and you're able to connect to whichever one that you're currently using in your accounting practice. And you're also then able to back up any of the documents documents that you receive through Dext on all of the different platforms. Then when we talk about extraction, I talked about how you can also get documents via email, but it won't be sitting on your inbox. It will be sitting in the Dext cost inbox. And so you give your client a unique code or email address, and when they email that document, it comes directly into that cost inbox, and it will go through the same workflow that I described earlier. So it's just so much easier, and you know that it's not going to be cluttered into your documents. It goes directly into the system, and all you do is approve or review if you're the manager there. Then with the categorization, this is where you tell the system what to do when it receives an invoice from a particular client. What should you do? How should the system classify it? So you get to tell the system all of these rules, which make your life easier when you're needing to process things fast. And this is the whole point of the system, is to save you time in manual things that can be done really quickly. And so in a nutshell, this is what the system looks like. What's beautiful is that if you're also wanting to train your staff or anyone in the business, you can get the certification there. The full trainings, the full videos are available for you on the system. If there's something you're stuck with, you're able to raise a support query right there on the system and speak to someone live or chat, and they can connect with you via TeamViewer if you wish. And then you can also get any news, updates, AI chatting on this. And there are other add-ons that you can also add, like AI Assist, depending on what your needs are and what really is going to make the difference in your business to move to the next level. This is the point of what we're trying to drive, for you to not worry about manual, but to make sure that you achieve what it is. So all it is, it's a very simple system that we have here, saving you time, saving you money, and hopefully you can trust it because it's been used across the world, processing about 3 billion documents a year. And so thank you so much for engaging with Dext, and hopefully you'll give it a try. Because you are here, you are eligible to get a 14-day free trial. If you just scan the QR code just outside here, and then at least you can have a taste of it before you can even engage and see if it's something that you'd want to use going forward. Thank you.